announce your presence for the record.
Brenda Eugene, on behalf of the State Attorney's Office.
Letitia George, on behalf of the Office of the Public Defender.
And counsel, since your case is first.
Merrill Glover Gambles on behalf of Gabriel Atilis Nieves.
All right, one moment.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Bresno Leon, certified Spanish interpreter. I have been previously sworn.
Good morning. Case number 2023 CF 1874AO, defendant Gabriel Atiles Nieves. Mr. Atiles Nieves, the court finds probable cause based on the probable cause warrant signed by the judge for count 1, unlawful transportation of currency. Fine will stay at $5,000. Count 2, unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Fine will stay at $1,500. And count 3, a public order crimes, acquiring or maintaining, racketeering real property. And bond will stay set at $500,000 with the following conditions of release: that you have no contact with any charged co-defendants, that you possess or consume no controlled substances unless you have a valid prescription for it, that you surrender your passport or certified via an affidavit filed with the clerk of court, that you do not have a valid passport, that you do not travel outside of the jurisdiction of this court without prior permission of the court. Anything further, state?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Defense?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Interpreter, that I'm told is the only case this morning that needs your attention.
At your service, Your Honor. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye. Rodolphe Jules. Sir, you were picked up for failure to appear. And 2 cases, bond will stay set at $5,000 in the first case and $2,000 in the second case. Thank you, sir. Tiffany Parsons. Ms. Parsons, you were picked up for a state misdemeanor for petty theft, and bond will stay set at $250.
Sorry, I didn't, there was an offer to resolve Ms. Parsons' case, Your Honor.
Does she wish to accept
I
it?
didn't have a chance to speak with her because she was in chains.
Okay.
I think she's the only person I didn't get a chance to speak to. If I could just have a moment to talk to her about the offer.
Well, we can pass her case.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll pass Ms. Parsons' case and go to the next case, which is Christopher Rohrer. Mr. Rohrer?
Yes.
In your case, I find probable cause for count 1, throwing a deadly missile at or into an occupied vehicle. Bond will stay at $2,500. And count 2, criminal mischief. Bond will stay at $500. The court is ordering you to have no contact with the victim and, as a condition of your release. There's a second case for which the court finds probable cause for trespass in a conveyance. Bond will stay at $500, and battery. Bond will stay at 500. You're ordered to have no contact with the victims in that case either.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you too. Robert Crew Jr. Mr. Crew. Ma'am, sir, the court finds probable cause for trespass on property.
And,
Bond stays at $500, and resisting an officer, bond stays at $100.
Your Honor, there is an offer to resolve Mr. Cruz's case with an adjudication of guilt, 5 days in the Orange County Jail with credit for 2, and no return to 9541 East Colonial Drive in Orlando, Florida. Mr. Cruz would like to accept the state's offer and enter a plea of no contest.
All right, and is this concurrent, count 1 and count 2, or is the state not processing one of the counts?
No, Your Honor, it's concurrent.
Okay. Mr. Cruz, sir, is this your signature here at the bottom of this plea form? Did you read this document before you signed it? Sir, are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs or medicine at this time? Do you understand that by entering your plea of guilty or no contest, you're giving up the rights on this plea form?
Yeah.
And do you understand that a conviction on this case will subject you to deportation if you are not a United States citizen? There's a sufficient factual basis in your case. You're alert, you're intelligent. As to count 1 and count 2, you're adjudicated guilty. You're sentenced to serve 5 days in jail to run concurrent on both count 1 and count 2. You're giving credit for 2 days' time served on count 1 and count 2. You are ordered to not return to 9541 East Colonial Drive in Orlando, Florida. And you are ordered to pay all mandatory court costs, which must be paid to the clerk of court within 365 days of release. Do you have any questions? You have the right to appeal the sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing within 30 days of today's date. Thank you, sir. You may exit for your paperwork.
And, Your Honor, I am ready for Ms. Parson.
Oh, no action on the, since he pled, no action on the other out on bond. Ms. Parsons' case is being recalled. Tiffany Parsons, yes, ma'am?
And the offer from the state is a withhold of adjudication, credit time served. And Ms. Parsons would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
Okay.
Your Honor, you have the case number for you.
2023 MO 230AO.
Oh, sorry.
Ms. Parsons, is this your signature here at the bottom of this plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you read this form or go over it with your lawyer before you signed it?
Yes, dear.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty or no contest, you're giving up the rights on the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs or medicine this afternoon?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand a conviction on this case will subject you to deportation if you're not a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, ma'am, there's a sufficient factual basis. You're alert, you're intelligent. I will withhold adjudication of guilt. What's the time served?
2 days.
Order 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days in order you to pay mandatory court costs within 365 days of your release. Do you have any questions?
So yes, that means I'll be getting released sometime today?
I am ordering your release as to discharge right now.
Okay, good, so I'll be able to see my kids there. Okay.
You have the right to appeal the sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing within 30 days of today's date. What did you say?
Today's Valentine's Day, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good thing, that's good news.
Did you say love you?
No, I get to see my two kids. I hope I get to see
Did she say love you?
No, she said she gets to see her kids today.
Oh, I thought, how sweet.
my.
This is, if she had said it, I mean, love everybody. Love everybody. Except for the lady that wasn't gonna let me up the elevator today. No, I love her too. I love her too. Cameron Jackson,
How you doing today?
sir, you're here for your arraignment, on a charge of resisting an officer without violence. Ms. Public Defender, your office was appointed.
Yes, Your Honor, the offer from the state was an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, no return to 355 North Roslyn Avenue. There's also a cost of investigation in the amount of $151.03 To the Orlando Police Department, Mr. Jackson would like to accept the state's offer and enter a plea of no contest.
And you stipulate that there's a factual basis for him to accept this plea this morning?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Jackson, sir, is this your signature here at the bottom of the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you read the plea form before you signed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs or medicine today?
I was not.
Do you understand that a conviction on this case will subject you to being deported if you're not a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a sufficient factual basis? You're alert and intelligent. Sir, I am adjudicating you guilty and ordering you to serve 29 days in jail with credit for the 29 days you have already served. And I am ordering your release as to this charge. I'm ordering you to not return to 355 North Rosalind Avenue, Orlando, Florida. And I am ordering you to pay all mandatory court costs and costs of investigation of $151.03 to Orlando Police Department. All monies must be paid within 365 days.
Yes, ma'am.
You have the right to appeal the sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing within 30 days of today's date. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
You may exit.
Thank you.
Johnny Dixon. Mr. Dixon, you're here for an arraignment on a charge of no valid driver's license. Does he need me to appoint the public defender? Did he fill out an application?
Oh, he did fill out one.
He did. Does he qualify?
Your Honor, exit, we be appointed in this case. We have him he has other charges,
Does he have an application for the public defender?
not today.
I need the application to appoint the public defender. Okay.
See if I needed to sign it. Which one?
You can give it to the clerk. Does he qualify? All right, sir, the public defender is appointed to represent you, and your case is set for pretrial conference.
Case to be heard in Division 85. Pretrial is March the 13th at 9 a.m. Courtroom 4A.
Malcolm Xavier Cooper. Mr. Cooper, you're here for an arraignment for a charge of petty theft. The public defender was appointed.
Yes, Your Honor, the offer from the state to resolve the case was an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, no return to 4001 Columbia Street, in Orlando, Florida, and Mr. Cooper would like to accept the state's offer and enter a plea of no contest.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. George, are you stipulating that there's a factual basis to accept this plea?
Yes, Your
Mr. Cooper, is this your signature here at the bottom of this plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you read this plea form in its entirety before you signed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty or no contest, you're giving up the rights on the front of this plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medicine at this time?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand a conviction on this case will subject you to deportation if you're not a U.S. citizen? There is a sufficient factual basis to accept your plea. You're alert, you're intelligent, you're adjudicated guilty and sentenced to 34 days in jail. You're given credit for the 34 days that you have already served, and I am ordering your release as to this charge. You are ordered to not return to 4001 Columbia Street in Orlando, Florida,
Yes, ma'am.
and you must pay all mandatory court costs through the clerk of court payment program within 365 days of today's date. Do you have any questions?
That'll be it, ma'am.
You have the right to appeal the sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing within 30 days of today's date. And thank you, sir. Pierre Paulin Fabrice, you're here for an arraignment on charges of trespassing a structure, petty theft, and resisting an officer. The public defender was previously appointed.
We're gonna enter a plea of not guilty, Your Honor.
Quick question.
Plea of not guilty is entered. Case is set for pretrial conference.
Case to be heard in Division 80. Pretrial conference is February the 24th at 9 a.m.
And
Courtroom 4C.
Ms. George, what's his question?
Yeah, the thing is though, can you move your hand? Can you move your hand? Can you? No, wait, I'm talking to her. I was supposed to be here for 7 days, and I've been here for like almost a month. I don't know what's going on.
Ms. George, make sure he gets a public defender to come out and visit him and talk to him about what's going on.
Oh, no, that's the thing though. I did have one come, but they were talking about something else.
All right, sir. Ms. George, we'll have the
There's a
public
copy,
defender
though.
come and talk to you about this. Wanda Bratcher?
Yes, ma'am.
You're here for an arraignment on multiple cases. Well, actually, no. Why is her case
Your Honor,
paperclip to all these cases? She
Okay.
only has one case.
Yeah, she just had one. Oh,
Who are
I'm
all
sorry.
these other people?
That was the end of the move up, so then now we starting the arraignments. I'm sorry, Judge, I should have unclicked.
Oh, okay. For a prostitution charge, ma'am, the public defender was previously appointed. You only have one case, ma'am.
she's not making an offer today. We're gonna enter a plea of not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, case will be set for a pretrial conference.
Case to be heard in Division 61. Pretrial conference is March the 24th at 9:30 a.m. Courtroom 7C.
Pierre Brinson, you are here for an arraignment on a charge of trespassing structure and criminal mischief. The public defender was previously appointed.
We will enter a plea of not guilty.
Plea of not guilty entered, case set for pretrial conference.
Case to be heard in Division 62. Virtual pretrial conference is March the 2nd at 1:30 p.m. Courtroom 12C.
Stasani Elma, you are here for arraignment on a violation of probation on a battery charge. Public defender was previously appointed.
I will enter denial, Your Honor.
Case to be heard in Division 81. VOP status is March the 24th at 9 a.m. Courtroom 6B.
Julius Miles, a written plea of not guilty was entered by the public defender.
For record purposes only, case to be heard in Division 80. Pretrial conference is February the 24th at 9 a.m. Courtroom 9C.
Ricardo Dones,
Yes, Your Honor.
the court finds probable cause for trespass on property after a warning.
Yes, Your Honor. There is an offer to resolve the trespass with an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, and no return to 8049 East Colonial Drive in Orlando, Florida. And Mr. Jones would like to accept the state's offer and enter a plea of no contest.
All right. Sir, is this your signature here at the bottom of this plea form?
That's correct.
Did you read this plea form in its entirety before you signed it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty or no contest, you're giving up all the rights on the plea form?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs or medication?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand that conviction on this case will subject you to deportation if you're not a U.S. citizen?
I understand, Your Honor.
Sir, there is a sufficient factual basis to accept your plea. You're alert, you're intelligent. I'll adjudicate you guilty. How much time, sir?
Thank you.
How many days?
It's 2 days, it looks like.
Order 2 days in Orange County Jail with credit for the 2 days that you have served. I am ordering your release as of today. I am ordering you to not return to 8049 East Colonial Drive in Orlando, Florida. Further, sir, you must pay all mandatory court costs within 365 days of your release. Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
You have the right to appeal the sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing within 30 days of today's date. Thank you, sir. Sergio Medina. Mr. Medina, the court finds probable cause for both counts 1 and count 2 of battery. Bond will state, well, actually, you do qualify for the pretrial release program, so I will order that you be released on pretrial release in order that you have no contact with the victims, that you not return to the location where this incident occurred, that you possess no weapons and no firearms and surrender any weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of your release. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, Andy Ramos, behavior.
Anthony,
Andy Ramos is not present due to behavior.
can we reset for tomorrow, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am, I will reset that for tomorrow. 24 hours due to behavior.
Had a PC challenge on Pittman, Your Honor.
Shane Pittman.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you're charged with, the court binds probable cause for count 1, possession of paraphernalia. Bond is set at $500. The court did not find probable cause for count 2, loitering or prowling, and the court was gonna release on recognizance as to that count, but I'll hear from both the state and the defense if you have anything additional.
No.
Nothing from the state.
Defense.
Your Honor, he, since it's just the drug paraphernalia,
Yes,
which
ma'am.
normally the state does not move forward on those charges, he has no way to post a bond at this time.
Yes.
So I would ask for an ROR on that.
What says the state?
Your Honor, generally, the state does not move forward on a paraphernalia. However, as this was a challenge to a PC where it may be established further on, I would still ask for a bond. He does have significant history, no failures to appear, but he does have significant history. The last offense being January of last year, Your Honor, so
But no failures to appear?
no failures to appear.
So I'll grant the defense motion, ROR, as to both counts. Andrew Ram.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Ramdeen. Mr. Ramdeen, in your case, the court finds probable cause for trespass under structure or conveyance.
And there's no offer, Your Honor.
No, the case, the bond will stay set at $500. You're ordered to no contact and not return to the location where this incident occurred. Oh, did I not order that in the last case? I'm sorry. No contact, no return. Yes, ma'am. No return, yes, ma'am. Dawn Jones. Dawn?
Yes.
All right. In your case, the court notes here that you were picked up for a failure to appear. There's a bond that will stay set at $2,000.
And Your Honor, the state did make an offer to resolve the failure to appear with a withhold of adjudication, credit time served. Ms. Jones would like to accept the state's offer and enter a plea of no contest.
Are you able to stipulate that there's a factual basis to the underlying charge of petty theft?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Jones, ma'am, is this your signature here at the bottom of this plea form?
Yes.
Did you read this plea form in its entirety before you signed it?
Yes.
Do you understand that by entering a plea of guilty or no contest, you're giving up all the rights on the plea form?
Yes.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medicine at this time? No. Yes or no?
No.
Do you understand a conviction on this case will subject you to deportation if you're not a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
There is a sufficient factual basis and you're alert, you're intelligent. I will withhold adjudication of guilt. How much time served does Ms. Jones have?
2 days.
In order, 2 days in jail with credit for the 2 days you have served. Further, you must pay all mandatory court costs associated with this charge to the clerk of courts within 365 days of your release. Any questions, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
You have the right to appeal the sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing within 30 days of today's date. You may exit. Thomas Nelson. Mr. Nelson, you were charged with alcohol, open container of alcohol, and I do find probable cause for that charge.
And, Your Honor, the offer from the state is a withhold, credit time served. Mr. Nelson would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
Thank you.
Can you give me the last four of the case number, Your Honor? I don't get them on the city.
23 MO 229.
Thank you.
Mr. Nelson, is this your signature here at the bottom of this plea form?
Yes, it is.
And did you read this plea form, or did your attorney go over this plea form with you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir, do you understand that by pleading guilty or no contest, you're giving up all the rights on the plea form?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medicine at this time?
No.
Do you understand a conviction on this case will subject you to deportation if you're not a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
There is a sufficient factual basis, you're alert, you're intelligent, I'll withhold adjudication of guilt. How much time served?
Looks like 2 days.
Order 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days' time served in order that you be released as to this charge today. Further, sir, I am ordering that you pay mandatory court costs to the clerk of courts within 365 days of today's date. Do you have any questions?
You have any questions?
You have the right to appeal the sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing within 30 days of today's date. Rolando,
Yes, ma'am.
Rolando Cobo Ortiz.
We don't have that one in our docket, Your Honor.
Do you have
Oh, Cobo Ortiz?
Cobo Ortiz.
It's PTR, Your Honor.
Okay, he's already been released per jail staff. Oh, did I miss one?
No, that's not you.
Jamie Pagano,
Bonded, Your Honor.
Okay.
bonded per the jail staff.
Here.
Jamie Zimmer. Are you Jamie Zimmer?
Yes, ma'am.
The court finds probable cause for count 1 DUI with property damage or injury to a person of another. Bond stays at $1,000 and simple DUI. Count 2 bond stays at $500.
And he does qualify for PTR, Your Honor.
Oh, yes, he does. Actually, I'll do the bond or PTR.
He's already having someone post his bond, Your Honor, so I just asked for the bond.
Okay, the bond is fine. The court is ordering as a condition of bond, sir, that you not drive without a valid driver's license and that you possess and consume no alcoholic beverages.
Take that. This one.
Further, the court is ordering you to subject yourself to random alcohol monitoring. Weekly alcohol monitoring. The first monitoring must occur within the next 7 days. And that will be at your own expense.
So pre-trial, is that through you guys or no?
Yes, I'm ordering it to be through PTR.
Next 7
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Weekly alcohol monitoring. So James Arias,
Yes, ma'am.
in your case, Sir, you failed to appear and bond will stay set at no bond for that failure to appear. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Eric Davis,
Bonded, Your Honor.
bonded per jail staff. Cody Ray DeSantis. Sir, the court finds probable cause for all counts. Count 1, grand theft of a third degree of a motor vehicle. Bond will stay at $1,000. Count 2, possession of cocaine. The court is reducing that bond to $500. Count 3, possession of methamphetamine with intent. Bond stays at $15,000. Count 4, possession of 3,4-methylene dioxy, amphetamine, MDA. Bond is set, reduced to 100. And count 5, possession of drug paraphernalia. Bond is reduced to 100. The court is ordering that you consume and possess no narcotics or illegal substances unless prescribed by a physician. As to your other case, possession of cocaine, state you filed on that, of course, right?
Yes, Your Honor, there's an arraignment set for March 23rd.
Okay, the court is revoking the $1,000 bond and ordering a new bond of $2,000.
And could you appoint us on the out on bond, Your Honor? He doesn't have an attorney.
Did he? Yes. Yes, ma'am. I will appoint the public defender as to both cases, yes. Anton Douglas. Mr. Douglas, in your case, the court finds probable cause for count 1, possession of a controlled substance. Bond stays at $1,000, and count 2, tampering with physical evidence. Bond is set to $100.
We don't have a court.
Jean Debussian. The court finds probable cause for each of 3 counts. Count 1, possession of cannabis with intent within 1,000 feet of a child care facility, and bond will stay at $10,000. Count 2, possession of a firearm or ammo by a convicted felon, and bond will stay at $4,000. And count 3, possession of ammunition by a convicted felon, and bond will stay at $4,000.
Your Honor, would you be inclined to treat the third count as a subsidiary bond as opposed to?
Yes, ma'am. The bond will be reduced to $150. On count 3, possession of ammunition. And conditions of your release are as follows. You are to possess no weapons or firearms and surrender any weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release. Possess no narcotics or illegal substances without a prescription by a doctor. You are ordered to not return to the location where this incident occurred. Thank you. Raymond Flanders,
Bonded, Your Honor.
bonded per jail staff.
You still get bonds.
Kevin Bernard Gray,
It's
Junior.
downtown court, Your Honor.
He's in downtown court. Shall I reset this to tomorrow?
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll reset for in the morning. Marlo Green. Court finds probable cause for grand theft, third degree of a motor vehicle. Mr. Green, bond will stay at $1,000. You're ordered to have no contact with the victim. Aaron Harvey, Aaron Alfonso Harvey.
Refuse, Your Honor.
And I will waive, Your Honor.
And his presence is waived by defense. Court is finding probable cause for petty theft of a merchant with prior convictions. The court will order bond to stay at $1,000, order no return and no contact with the victim. The court also finds probable cause in the second case for resisting arrest, larceny, resisting arrest, or recovery of a property. Bond stays at $500. Count 2, resisting or obstructing an officer. Bond is set to $100. And count 3, battery, and bond stays at $500 with conditions of no contact with the victim and no return to the location where this incident occurred. Janelle Jenkins. You were picked up for failure to appear, for which bond will stay at no bond. Ms. Janelle Jenkins?
Who's it now?
Janelle Jenkins? Have I
Okay,
done Ms.
that is him, Your
Jenkins?
Honor. Yes.
Ms. Jenkins, is that Ms. Jenkins behind her?
No, this is Janelle Jenkins, Your Honor.
All right, well, I'm done. Unless Janelle Jenkins has a question. Okay. Kimberly Jones?
Your name.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't qualify.
Ms. Jones,
You don't qualify.
the court does not find probable cause for this charge of family offense interfering with custody of a minor or incompetent person. State, do you want more time to get more information?
Yes, please, Your Honor. Can you tell me what it is that where you did not see probable cause?
In the few lines of information that I have, I just, sounds like the officer is telling the defendant that he has an active order to take into custody, but he didn't attach the order, so I have no idea what he's talking about.
I understood, Your Honor. Did you read the,
Yes, and then she said something along the lines of she was going to ship her kid off.
no, Your Honor, that's not what I was going to say. Did you read the affidavit with regard to?
No, there is nothing else. That's
Can I
all
finish, Your
have.
Honor?
Well, yeah, you can finish, but I'm answering the question of no. If you're talking about something other than this piece of paper, no. If you're talking about this piece of paper, I read the whole thing, and I don't find probable cause based on the whole thing. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines that I read does not contain probable cause for this charge. Need more information or attach whatever it is he's referring to when he's talking about this pickup order.
Fair enough, Your Honor. If I could provide the affidavit from 23 CF 1217, would the court be willing to read that?
Yeah, well, I don't have anything. This is all I have. The 6 lines that I just told you I have is all I have.
Okay.
This one? Yeah, this is a different case. I didn't find probable cause on this one either. Yeah, somebody else did that one, but it's not attached. So I don't have it. Mm-hmm.
Attach the link, but I have to make sure tomorrow we'll have my.
Yeah, nothing was attached. But this is a charge of, this is a separate case, by the way, burglary and battery, totally separate case. And I don't have anything on that, but I had not addressed that yet. But now that you brought it to my attention, I am addressing it, and I do not have documentation on that. Reset for 24 hours to give the state an opportunity to provide the court with documentation for probable cause.
That is for both of the cases, correct, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. The second case, the clerk believes that there is an affidavit, and she's printing that now. So you don't have, well, I might as well look at it since she's printing it.
sorry, Judge.
Yes, there's probable cause for burglary to an occupied dwelling and battery. As to the second case, bond will stay set at 5,000 on count 1 and 500 on count 2. No contact with the victim, no return, possess no weapons, no firearms, surrender any weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release.
And, Your Honor, I understand the state needs 24 hours. I would ask that you at least set her a bond. If she bonds, she'll waive any defects in the affidavit. She has to work tomorrow. If she misses work.
No, ma'am. I need to see this documentation. This is a charge of interfering with the familial custody of apparently a child. And I want to read what the officer has to say.
Your Honor, I believe the PC for the interference is also established with the burglary of a dwelling.
I disagree.
Okay.
It should be attached. Whatever he used to determine probable cause must be attached to this case. I cannot look outside of the four corners of this case to find probable cause from another case, because I don't really know what he's talking about. Now, I need her to come back in the morning. And hopefully the state will have the documentation. And if they don't, we'll address it at that time.
So I have to stay here until in the morning?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
So I have to stay here until in the morning, I can't get a bond, I cannot miss work, I'm a single mom and I have to go to work. If I do not go to work, I will not have a job.
Ma'am, this is my job.
I understand.
And my job is to make sure that I know exactly what is being said about the offense that you are charged with, and when it is alleged to have occurred.
Your Honor, I do apologize. If you look at the affidavit under 23 CF 2072.
Which charge?
The one for the interference.
Mm-hmm.
It references under case number 23-9718. If you look at the burglary of a dwelling, that agency number is 23-9718.
So you think that there's enough information from the burglary charge for me to find probable cause for the interfering charge, and I disagree. And I don't know how else to say that, other than I don't find probable cause. And you could either, I don't know what you can do other than ask for more time. I guess you could forfeit the charge, or you could get the additional time that you've asked for.
I will take the additional time, Your Honor.
Thank you. Emmanuel Cummings. Mr. Cummings. The court finds probable cause for aggravated fleeing and eluding a law enforcement officer. And bond is set in that case at $7,500. That's count 1. Count 2, reckless driving. Bond stays at $500. And count 3, driving while your license was suspended or revoked with knowledge. Bond is set at $250. The court is ordering you, condition of release to not drive without a valid driver's license, sir. You have a second case, for which the court was unable to find probable cause as to vehicle theft, wearing a hood or a mask on the street, and resisting an officer. And, does the state think that there's probable cause somewhere in the documentation as to those charges, or would you like additional time? I mean, I read the whole thing twice and I still couldn't find probable cause.
It wasn't a stolen vehicle, Your Honor.
Yeah, there were 3 counts.
The defendant is the person who was driving said.
Was the defendant wearing a hood or a mask on the street? Where is that at?
No, Your Honor, I have no objection to no PC for
And
that one.
where did the defendant resist or obstruct or oppose an officer?
When he ran from the vehicle, Your Honor?
Yes, where the officer did not connect that to the charge. He did not say, I am therefore charging him with resisting an officer because he ran. Everybody ran. There's no probable cause for that. Now, as far as the grand theft goes, you believe that there is documentation in the affidavit to the grand theft? Point me to the paragraph and line.
Okay, Your Honor, the second paragraph from the bottom, starting with after the vehicle collided, if you look at the last line of that paragraph.
Last line?
Yes, Your Honor, it says.
Okay, the last line says the driver of the vehicle was identified as Joshua Cummings, and he was in possession of the vehicle's key fob. Now, how does that tell me that this is a stolen vehicle?
In the second line at the top, Your Honor, it says attempting to stop a stolen vehicle.
I don't find probable cause.
Okay.
You want more time, or do you want me to ROR?
No, I'd like more time, Your Honor.
Okay. You want more time on all 3 counts, or do you want me to go ahead and ROR him on the wearing a hood count and the obstructing or opposing count?
Well, Your Honor, since I have to get more information, I'd like it for all 3, please.
Okay, reset for 24 hours for the state to obtain additional information for probable cause. All right, Eric Maurice Keenan. Keenan.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Keenan, in your case, sir, I do find probable cause for petty theft with prior convictions and based on a warrant. Sir, I am ordering your bond to stay at $1,000, ordering you to not return to the Dollar General as a condition of your release. Joseph Loverd.
Behavior, Your Honor.
I will waive, Your Honor.
All right, defense is waiving. I didn't find probable cause on these charges, by the way. So maybe you want to give him 24 hours. State. I was unable to find probable cause on his first 2 sets of cases. I did find probable cause on the second one, though.
I apologize, Your Honor. Without case numbers, I don't know which ones you're referring to.
The first one is the case that I did not find probable cause on is case number 2023 CF 2059AO, both counts. The case that I did find probable cause on, I'll go ahead and announce, it is trespassing in an occupied structure or conveyance. The court finds probable cause bond stays at $100 and resisting an officer without violence. The court finds probable cause bond stays at $500. Now, as to the other charges, does the state believe that there's probable cause in the approximately 5 lines of this affidavit?
No, Your Honor, I have no objection. I would ask for the additional 24 hours, Your
All
Honor.
right, 24 hours granted to the state for additional time to provide the court with probable cause documentation. Even Luis Rivera. Even Luis Rivera.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sir, in your cases, the court does find probable cause for the charge of fleeing and attempting to elude a police officer, and I'm setting a bond of $4,500. Further, sir, I am ordering a revocation on your bond. State, have you made charging decisions on this case 22 CF 13766?
No, Your Honor, defendant was arrested December 12th, and no formal charges have been filed yet.
No formal charges. I won't take any action then. No action. William Rosario. Mr. Rosario? The court finds probable cause on each of your 3 counts, with count 1 being possession of a concealed weapon or firearm by a convicted felon. Bond stays at $5,000. Count 2, possession of ammunition by a convicted felon. Bond is set to $500. And count 3, possession of cannabis less than 20 grams. Bond is set to $100. As a condition of release, you're ordered to possess no firearms or weapons and surrender all firearms or weapons to law enforcement. Within 24 hours of release, I'm revoking your bond. State as the 2023 CF 1194AO. This is state
Your
file
Honor,
charges on that.
Your Honor, there's an indication that an information was filed yesterday, but I was not able to find it in the clerk's site. But on our system, the information was filed yesterday.
The court is revoking the bond on 2023 CF 1194AO and setting a new bond of $8,000 to, yes, $8,000.
So would that be, how would you want that broken up in counts, Your Honor? There's 2 counts.
4,000 each count.
4,000 each count.
No, I'm not, Judge. I got a lot of.
Well, but you understand your mess, right? Okay, Jordan Singh.
Yes, ma'am.
And sir, the court finds probable cause in your case for possession of cocaine with a weapon. A bond will stay set at $100,000.
Your Honor, I'm gonna ask that you, I would ask that you reduce the bond in this case. He has no failures to appear, no convictions. He's 18. I would ask for
Your Honor, no objection to a reduction. The range should actually be in between 1,000 and 2,500.
Wow, that's a big reduction.
Usually it's this high if there is an intent to sell, but as it's just a simple possession, it should not be that high, Your Honor.
Yeah, let me just look at it again. I don't know if there was an. I don't find probable cause for possession of cocaine with a weapon. There's no probable cause for that. Sometimes it's good to take a second look. Do you need additional time to provide the court with,
No, Your Honor.
additional information towards probable cause?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so yes, there's no probable cause for this charge. Not sure there's probable cause for anything. Court will release you on your recognizance. However, listen to me, Mr. Singh. Even though I'm releasing you, you do need to understand that as a condition of your release, I'm ordering you to possess no weapons or firearms and surrender any weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of your release. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Charles St. Fleur.
Behavior, Your Honor.
And I will waive, Your Honor.
Mr. St. Fleur is waived. The court finds probable cause for burglary of an occupied conveyance when unarmed, and bond will stay set at $3,500 with the condition of not returning and having no contact with the victim. The court is revoking the bond on his other case unless the state has not made a decision to file it, which is 2023 CF 166580.
The state has not, Your Honor. However, the reason being, it only happened last week. He was arrested February 6th.
Well, I won't take any action anyway because John Wilson.
Yeah, Dewan Wilson.
Mr. Wilson, you were picked up for failure to appear for, which bond was set at no bond, and bond will stay at no bond. What else do I have?
That's it.
There's gotta be something else, because I'm not ready to go yet.
These arraignments, how do you?
I wanna stay here for another 2 minutes. Court stands in recess. We're on the record. Judge Allen presiding, this is our Valentine's Day of IAs. So that means there's a lot of love flowing around the room as we prepare to do IAs today. And at least one person wore red, so you get the award for wearing red. If anyone else is wearing red, I don't see it. So, Ms. George, thank you for wearing red. All right. Okay. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Same
To you.
I love this day. I like all holidays, though. Okay. Now, where are we? We are, it's time for the attorneys to announce your presence.
Brenda Eugene, on behalf of the State Attorney's Office.
Letitia George, on behalf of the Office of the Public Defender.
Ms. Eugene and Ms. George, both of you, good morning. And I see my lawyers are here. Why are you guys here?
For the bond hearings, Your Honor.
Did I set it, or did Juanita set it? Oh, and she sent you guys out here, okay. She didn't mention it to me, but I guess it's okay. We're gonna do the Spanish first? We don't have any Spanish? Then we'll call it interpret at that time, okay. All right, so when will we fit in this bond hearing? No, whatever you say. Look, I'm listening to the clerk. Y'all know I don't do that in the courtroom downtown. I never listen to the clerk downtown, but I'm listening to the clerk. When will we do it? You tell me. Wait, if you're gonna ask them, I'm asking, okay, we'll just go ahead and do it in a few minutes. Let's just get this rolling. I'm gonna get this rolling along. Does the defendant need to be here for this bond hearing? They are here, okay. All right, so here, like if at any given moment I say, okay, let's do the bond hearing, we can get him in here? Yes, Your Honor. Okay, I'll give you a heads up when we get ready to do it, okay? But for now, we're just gonna move along with these IAs. There are not that many of them compared to what I've seen in many other sessions. So you guys won't be waiting long, even if we did do them at the end. And it's good training for you. to know what we do in IAs. So, with that being said, Christian Matthias?
Yes, that's me.
All right, Mr. Matthias, I have one other thing. Ms. George, as always, I am appointing the public defender on all cases unless otherwise noted. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Matthias, reviewed your paperwork and you were picked up for violating your probation, multiple monetary obligations, as well as failure to complete community service hours. Bond will stay at $2,500 in your case. You understand, sir?
What's that?
Do you understand what I just said?
Yes, I
Okay, thank you, sir.
having trouble getting someone to yes, I do. I don't have that.
Oh, okay. I'll make that note of that. Thank you. You put it on a sticky. Okay. Moving on along to Amanda Holt. Ms. Holt, you are picked up for violating your probation on view for a new law violation. Bond will stay set at no bond in your case, Ms. Holt. Thank you, ma'am. Emerson Hornado. Sir, you were picked up for violation of your probation, condition E, 3 counts, all new law violations, and bond will stay set at no bond in your violation probation charge. Thank you, sir. Jane Ramise Ashley.
Yes, Your Honor, we reset for a plea. And, Your Honor, in order to resolve the disorderly conduct, the offer from the state was a withhold of adjudication, credit time served, and no return to 8265 International Drive. And Mr. Ashley would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
All right, very well. Mr. Ashley, is this your signature on the bottom of this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you read this document in its entirety before you signed it?
Yes.
Do you understand that by entering your plea of guilty or no contest, you're giving up all rights on the front of this plea form?
Yes.
Are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, and medication at this time?
No.
Do you understand that conviction on this case will subject you to deportation if you're not a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
There's a sufficient factual basis in your case, and you're alert, you're intelligent. At this time, I am withholding adjudication of guilt, ordering credit for time served in the amount of how many days? 3 days. I am ordering you to be released as to this charge today. Further, I'm ordering you not to return to 8265 International Drive, Orlando, Florida, and ordering you to pay all mandatory court costs within 365 days of your release. Do you have any questions? You have the right to appeal the sentence. If you wish to appeal, you must do so in writing within 30 days of today's date. Thank you very much. You may exit. Louis Zayas Valentine. In your case, the court does find probable cause for violation of a domestic violence injunction, and for which the court will set bond at $500. And I am ordering a condition of bond that you have no contact with the victim, no return, comply with the terms of and conditions of the injunction or any other court orders. Will allow, actually not. And so further, I am ordering that you possess no weapons and no firearms, and surrender all weapons and firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of your release. Thank you, sir. Christopher Dixon. Are you Christopher Dixon? In your case, the court finds probable cause for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Bond is set at $2,500. The court's ordering no contact with the victim, no return, and no possession of any weapons or firearms. Surrender all weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release. In your second case, the court finds probable cause for all three counts. Count one, obstruction of justice or hindering a victim.
Your Honor, I only see, there's only one case for Mr. Dixon, I believe.
One case.
Just the ag.
Oh, I'm sorry, these two were stapled together, but you're right, it's a different name. Sorry, Mr. Dixon, next case belongs to somebody other than you.
And Your Honor, could he have that one-time return with law enforcement?
I will allow a one-time return in the presence of law enforcement to recover any personal belongings, yes.
Thank you.
That's authorized. All right, next case is Robert Ford. Mr. Ford, in your case, the court finds probable cause for three counts. Count one, obstruction of justice and hindering the victim. The court is going to order a bond of $1,000. Count two, criminal mischief. The bond is set at $100. And count three, battery domestic violence. Bond will be set at $500. Conditions of bond are that you have no contact with the victim, do not return to the location where this incident occurred, possess no weapons and no firearms. However, you must surrender all weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release, and you may return one time in the presence of law enforcement to recover personal items or effects. Thank you, sir. Olajuwon Jackson. Mr. Jackson, the court finds probable cause for three counts: battery, domestic violence, bond is set at $500. Battery by strangulation, domestic violence, bond is set at $2,500. Violation of a domestic injunction, bond is set at $500. Further, the court's ordering you to have no contact with the victim, no return to the location where this incident occurred, no return to the victim's residence as well, and to comply with any injunction, terms or conditions or other court orders related to this case or this victim, that you not possess any weapons or firearms and surrender all weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release, and state you filed on this trespass charge.
No, Your Honor, he was arrested January 11th, but no formal charges have been filed.
No action on the trespass charge. Thank you, sir. Jonathan LeVere, is that who you are? In your case, sir, the court finds probable cause for false imprisonment, dating violence, and obstruction of justice or hindering a victim, and battery dating violence. Although you do qualify for the PTR program, state you agree with PTR in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm reluctant to order you on PTR due to the facts of this case, but I'm gonna go ahead on and do it since the state agrees to it. But sir, you are ordered as a condition of pretrial release to have no contact with the victim, not return to the location where this incident occurred, maintain a separate residence from the victim, possess no weapons and no firearms, and surrender all weapons or firearms in your possession to law enforcement within 24 hours of your release. Kevin Lucky. Mr. Lucky, in your case, I do find probable cause for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, for which bond is set at $3,500. You're ordered to not return to the location this incident occurred, have no contact with the victim, and possess no weapons or firearms as a condition of release. Surrender all weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release. Further, you are authorized a one-time visit in the presence of law enforcement to recover personal items and effects. Thank you, sir. Brian Urbina.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Urbina, you're charged with aggravated assault, domestic violence, and I do find probable cause for that charge. I'll set a bond of $2,500, order you to have no contact with the victim, not to return to the location this incident occurred, with the exception of a one-time visit in the presence of law enforcement to recover personal items. Further, you must possess no weapons or firearms and surrender all weapons and firearms in your possession to law enforcement within 24 hours of your release. Thank you. Velez Camacho. Ms. Velez Camacho, is this a witness that needs the interpreter?
No.
No. You speak English? All right. So the microphone needs to be used for all communication. Raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And I need your name, please.
Angelica Velez Camacho.
Jennifer Camacho?
Mercedes Camacho.
All right, need to, microphone, please.
Mercedes Camacho.
Mercedes Camacho, do not forget to use the microphone. Either the state or the defense may have questions for you. Ms. Camacho, you do need to answer the questions. State, you may inquire. Oh, Ms. Eugene is wearing red. Stop. See, I couldn't see when you were sitting down. Why didn't you spill the beans, Ms. Eugene?
Well, because you said you couldn't see it.
Well, so two representations of the beautiful day of Valentine. So, thank you for finally letting me know. I'm sorry to interrupt this questioning of the witness, though. You may continue.
Good morning, ma'am. How do you know the defendant?
She's my daughter.
Do you live together?
We do.
While this case is pending, do you want to continue living together?
Sure.
And you want to have contact with her?
Sure.
Has something like this happened before?
Not to this extent.
And when you say to this extent, what do you mean?
Arguments.
Just arguments, verbal arguments. Okay. Do you know if drugs or alcohol were involved in this incident?
Yes.
Which one was it?
Alcohol.
Do you believe that that was just a single occurrence, or is possibly an addiction?
No, occurrence.
Just a single occurrence? Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. George?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Ma'am, based on the testimony of the victim, I'm going to set a bond of $2,500 on count 1 and $500 on count 2. I'm ordering you to have no hostile contact with the victim, that you possess no weapons and no firearms, and surrender all weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of your release. No hostile contact, yes, ma'am. 25 on count 1 and 500 on count 2. 2,500 on count 1. Yes, ma'am. No weapons, 24 hours. Are you keeping up, or am I making it hard on you? You keeping up? Okay, it just looks messier than it is. All righty. Arlene Leopold? Yes, that's who you are? You gotta talk with your mouth.
Yes.
Okay. And the person standing over there in the witness box, raise your right hand to be sworn in.
He needs a Creole interpreter.
Creole?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can we get Creole? All right, we're gonna pass this case. Have a seat until we get a Creole interpreter. Did you all know that we needed a Creole interpreter before this moment in time?
No, they just told.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes we can get a Creole interpreter easy, and sometimes it's hard. So, Joseph Lomanaco?
Yes.
Mr. Lomanaco,
Is this a Spanish?
in your case, I find probable cause for battery, domestic violence. Do you speak English?
No, she needs a Spanish.
Spanish is easy to get. Can I do both of these? Can you be on the phone while I?
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Pedro Leon, certified Spanish interpreter. I have not been previously sworn.
I'll swear you in. Do you swear that you're going to translate from Spanish to English and English to Spanish to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, and we have a witness, but we don't have the need for your services for the defendant, so we're not going to use the headset, okay?
Understood, Your Honor.
Ma'am, raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Señora, levante su mano derecha para prestar juramento.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Jura que el testimonio que dará será la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad y que Dios la ayude.
Sí, amén.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down, ma'am, but I do need you to tell me what your name is and speak into the microphone.
Marina la
Gracias,
Antigua.
señora. Usted puede bajar la mano y me puede decir su nombre. Hable directamente al micrófono. Diga su nombre despacio y en voz alta.
Marina la Antigua.
Marina la Antigua.
All right, Ms. Lantigua, one or both of the attorneys may have questions for you regarding this case.
Señora la Antigua, uno o dos de los abogados tendrán preguntas que hacerle con respecto a este caso.
Ms. Eugene, do you have questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
La señorita Eugene tiene preguntas que hacerle.
Está bien.
Very well.
Good morning, ma'am. How do you know the defendant?
Buenos días, señora. ¿De qué manera conoce usted al acusado?
Era mi pareja por 16 o 17 años.
He was my partner. We were a couple for about 16 to 17 years.
Do you live together?
¿Ustedes viven juntos?
No,
No.
Do you work together?
¿Trabajan juntos?
sí,
Yes.
While this case is pending, do you want to have any contact with him?
Mientras este caso está pendiente, ¿desea usted tener contacto con él?
no,
No.
Has something like this happened before?
¿Algo de esta naturaleza ha sucedido anteriormente?
sí.
Yes.
Before this incident, before yesterday, when was the last incident?
Antes de este incidente, antes de ayer, ¿cuándo fue el incidente anterior?
Tan agresivo como el de ayer nunca antes había pasado, pero sí había pasado mucho verbalmente, mucho grito.
As aggressive as it was yesterday, it never happened before. However, it did happen in a way that he was very aggressive and verbally, a lot of screaming.
Thank you. Were drugs or alcohol involved in the incident yesterday?
En el incidente de ayer, estaba involucrado a alcohol, algún tipo de alcohol, de bebida alcohólica o drogas.
Alcohol.
Alcohol.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Muchas gracias, ya no tengo más preguntas.
Ms. George has no questions. All right, Mr. Monaco, I find probable cause for the offense, and I'm going to order you to be released on the pretrial release program.
Señor Monaco, encuentro de que hay suficiente fundamentos fácticos y le voy a dejar en libertad, bajo libertad condicional.
The conditions of release are that you have no contact whatsoever with the victim,
Las condiciones de su libertad serán de que no puede tener contacto con la víctima de ningún tipo,
that you not return to the location where this incident occurred,
no puede regresar a la ubicación donde este incidente ocurrió,
that you possess no weapons or firearms and surrender any weapons or firearms in your possession to law enforcement within 24 hours of your release.
no puede tener en su posesión ningún tipo de arma, ni de fuego ni arma blanca, y que si usted es propietario de cualquier arma, usted tiene que entregarlas a las autoridades dentro de las 24 horas después de ser liberado.
You must also maintain a separate residence from the victim.
También tiene que usted que mantener residencia separada de la víctima.
Ms. Eugene, is there anything further?
Your Honor, I apologize. I believe this happened at their workplace. As was indicated, they work together. I can either inquire more.
I know Mr. Interpreter, you may interpret that, and then I have a response.
Señorita Eugene, ¿tiene alguna pregunta? Sí, yo creo que este incidente ocurrió en el centro de trabajo y yo puedo indicar más al respecto si lo desea, su señoría.
So yes, I'm aware that it happened at the place of business, and I did order no return.
Sí, tengo conocimiento de que este incidente ocurrió en el centro de trabajo, por lo que estoy ordenando de que no regrese a ese establecimiento.
I don't know of any additional conditions that I can impose. Are you aware of any?
Tengo conocimiento de cualquier otra condición que yo pueda imponer. ¿Tiene usted conocimiento de alguna otra?
I was going to inquire of the victim as to whether or not there were different shifts that they could work, Your Honor.
That doesn't matter to me. I'm not gonna let him go to her place of work because this happened at her place of work, which means he was at her place of work, regardless of whether he was working or not,
Okay.
on a shift or not.
Your Honor, I think they both own
Mr.
Yo puedo
Interpreter.
indagar, thank you, Your Honor. Yo puedo indagar más con respecto, la señorita fiscal dice, yo puedo indagar más con respecto a los horarios de trabajo si trabajan en turnos diferentes. La jueza entonces responde, eso no es pertinente. La orden es de que él no puede regresar al centro de trabajo, independientemente de que trabajen en cualquier turno separados. Esto ocurrió en el centro de trabajo y por lo tanto estoy ordenando de que no regrese allí.
The fact that Ms. Lantigua has testified that she wants no contact with him, I'm sure she took all factors in consideration when she said that.
El hecho de que la señora La Antigua ha testificado de que eso ocurrió allí, seguro de que ella ha tomado todos los hechos en consideración a la hora de hacerlo.
Of course, Ms. George, if you want to inquire further, then you may do so.
Claro, señorita George, si usted quiere indagar más al respecto, lo puede hacer si desea.
Okay. Miss Lantigua, if you can still get a paycheck and not go to work, is that something that you're willing to do?
Señora La Antigua, usted puede recibir pago sin la necesidad de tener que ir a trabajar. ¿Es eso algo que usted está dispuesta a hacer, señora La Antigua?
No, porque necesito primero, yo no tengo problema con dejarle la tienda a él, pero yo necesito sacar mi nombre de la tienda y pagar la deuda que se deben antes de yo irme. Porque si yo no estoy en la tienda, no sé qué va a pasar. Y quiero tener mi crédito limpio.
Permítame, señora. No, I have no issues leaving the store on his name. However, I'm concerned because I have to be at the store in order to pay off the debt that is on that store. And I want to safeguard or protect my credit.
Okay.
So that is something that I would like to do.
And is it possible to work on different days?
¿Y es posible que ustedes trabajen en días diferentes?
El problema es el siguiente. Ustedes, yo quiero que entiendan. Yo no tengo nada en contra de él. Él es un buen hombre, pero él necesita ayuda que lo internen en un centro de alcohólicos anónimos, porque él no puede trabajar y él lo sabe,
The issue is this, and I would like to explain. I have nothing against him. He's a good man. However, he needs help. He needs to be admitted into a perhaps Alcoholic Anonymous program for him to receive help because he cannot work under such conditions.
All right, let me just inform the parties. We are getting into issues that are beyond my ability to adjudicate at an initial appearance.
Bueno, déjeme informarle a ambas partes, porque nos estamos ya yendo a ciertos asuntos que no están dentro de la materia que yo pueda tomar una decisión.
I'm not able to go into someone's substance abuse concerns, whether they are valid or whether they are not valid.
Yo no puedo entrar en cuestiones como, por ejemplo, abusos de sustancias, independientemente si las alegaciones son válidas o no.
I can't make decisions about the business partnership and contractual relationship between the defendant and the victim.
Yo no puedo tampoco gestionar ningún tipo de cuestión con respecto a contratos ni a sociedades de negocios.
Quite simply, this happened at the place of work, and she said she wants no contact. She could have said she agreed to contact, but she did not say that.
Simplemente, este incidente ocurrió en el centro de trabajo. Ella dijo de que no quiere tener contacto con él. Ella pudo haber dicho de que ella deseaba seguir teniendo contacto con él, pero no fue eso lo que dijo.
These issues are going to have to be figured out at a future court hearing.
Esos asuntos van a tener que ser resueltos en audiencias futuras.
I am ordering no contact whatsoever and not to return to the location where this incident occurred.
Estoy ordenando, por lo tanto, no tener contacto de ningún tipo y tampoco regresar a la ubicación donde esto ocurrió.
And I'll repeat, I'm ordering possession of no weapons or firearms and to surrender all weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release.
Y reitero, no puede tener en su posesión ningún tipo de arma, ni de fuego, ni arma blanca, y si es propietario de cualquier arma, tiene que devolverlo o entregarlo a las autoridades dentro de las 24 horas después de ser puesto en libertad.
Thank you, Ms. Lantigua. Thank you, Mr. Lomanaco.
¿Te puedo hacer otra pregunta?
May I ask another question?
Yes, you may ask another question.
Sí, usted puede hacer otra pregunta.
Si lo van a dejar en libertad, porque yo tengo miedo, entonces yo prefiero hacer lo que él dice. Yo irme de la tienda y a él que se quede en la tienda, porque él no va a, yo lo conozco, él no va a hacer caso a esa orden de protección y yo temo por mi vida. Yo prefiero dejarle la tienda, el negocio dejárselo y yo irme y a él que se quede con la tienda.
Another thing that I would like to say is, and this is because I know this man, I've known him for a long time, is that I'm afraid of him. And based on that, I'd rather give him the store and for him to go and take care of the store. And I would opt for the first option that was given because I'm afraid of being close to him. And so based on that, I'd rather give him the store.
Well, I'm sure that you have some serious reflection. You got some things you need to think about, ma'am, and you can be ready to discuss that with the prosecutor at a future court hearing.
Señora, yo entiendo que usted tiene ciertas preocupaciones, pero usted podrá ventilar todas esas preocupaciones con la fiscalía en cualquier audiencia posterior.
Thank you, ma'am. You are excused.
Gracias, señora. Ya se puede marchar.
Mr. Interpreter, let me give you the case number.
Thank you, Your Honor.
23 MM 102780.
Thank you very much. Does Your Honor requires the services of the interpreter any further?
No, sir. Thank you. Have a great day.
At your service, Your Honor. You have a wonderful day as well.
You too. You ready with the Creole? Okay. Yes, Ariane Leopold.
Okay.
Now, does Ariane Leopold need the interpreter?
No.
No, okay. Good morning, this is Judge Allen. Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, I hear background noise. This is Judge Allen. Is the interpreter on the line?
Good morning, Judge Allen. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah. This is the interpreter.
Would
My
you-
name is Wolf. I'll be a Haitian Creole interpreter today.
Okay. Did you get that identification already, Madam Clerk? The ID? Could you repeat the ID, please?
Sure, it's 260778.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you swear in the interpreter?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to translate from Creole to English, the English to Creole, the testimony you
Yes. She sounds very far moaner. Can I hear nothing?
I'm sorry. State your name for the record again, please.
Sure, my name is Wolf. ID number is 260778.
Thank you very much for that. To the defendant, sir, ma'am, please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Monsieur, madame, s'il vous plaît, levez mes droites non pour nous qu'à jurer.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Est-ce que nous jurons tout témoignage que nous allons balancer c'est vérité et tout ça qui est dans la bouche nous c'est vérité?
Oui.
Yes.
State your name for the record.
Johnny
Non, monsieur.
Jean-Baptiste.
Jean-Baptiste.
Jean Baptiste, I need you to speak into that microphone every time you talk, okay?
Yes.
Monsieur Jean-Baptiste, n'a besoin pour parler dans le micro. Hein. Chaque lot parler dans le micro, hein, s'il vous plaît.
D'accord.
Thank you.
Mr. John Baptiste, either the state or the defense attorney may have questions for you this morning, okay?
Yeah.
Monsieur
Okay.
Jean-Baptiste, c'est soit l'État ou bien avocat défense qui a des questions pour vous matin.
Ok.
Miss Eugene?
Madame Eugène?
Good morning, sir.
Good
Bonjour,
morning.
monsieur.
How do you know the defendant?
Comment fait qu'on est défendeur?
Nous te rencontrés dans le travail.
We met at work.
Do you live together?
Nous
Oui.
étions ensemble? Yes.
Oui.
Yes.
While this case is pending, do you want to continue living together?
Pendant qu'à ça inattendu, est-ce que ou t'as toujours mérité avec elle?
Non.
Non.
Outside of the home, do you want to have any contact with her?
En dehors de Kailan, est-ce que tu as aimé contact avec elle?
Ah, oui, parce qu'il y a des bagages li pour venir prendre la caille là, il y a un pile documents, affaires, etc.
Yes, she did have a couple things to come to get the house, which is a lot of things, you know, her stuff, her document, a bunch of things, etc.
So if that was accomplished in one visit, with law enforcement, would you want to have any other contact with her?
Si nous on réussi, li vini non seul visite, li ramasse tout bagay li honnête, est-ce que tu as toujours mérité dans communication avec elle après ça?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Has something like this happened before?
Est-ce qu'il te kon bagay kon sa ki te rive déjà?
Ça fait 7e fois.
That's the 7th time.
I apologize, Madam Interpreter. Was that 7 or 2nd?
7.
7.
And were drugs or alcohol involved in this incident?
Est-ce qu'il te gen drogue avec alcool qui te fait dans incident ça?
Non. Mais
Ah.
après, mais hier, elle fin fait ça, elle t'a fumé. So, moi, te joindre.
Non.
Moi, te joindre yon lighter, yon briquet, yon lighter dans machine moi. Moi, joindre deux comme ça, et puis dans chambre, moi, joindre, moi, trouver ma chambre dans gen centre. Cigarette, et puis me joindre paille cigarette, yo tout. Le petit cigarette là, paille bagay li fumer yo dans chambre là. But, li pas qu'on fait ça avant.
After the whole thing happened, I noticed there was 2 lighter in the car. And then when I went to the room, I could smell and I see the residue of whatever she was smoking. But she never done that before.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. George?
No,
Monsieur, ma question encore.
no
Madame
questions.
Georges?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Leopold, I am ordering a bond of $500. I'm ordering that you have
Madame
no
Leo-
contact with the victim.
Madame Léopold, moi ba une caution pour $600 et moi ba ou l'autre pour pas avoir aucune communication avec victime là.
I'm ordering that you not return to the location where this incident occurred.
Et moi mando pour pas retourner dans location côté incident a passé.
You must maintain a separate residence from the victim.
Ou supposé rester dans l'autre résidence séparée avec victime là.
I am allowing you a one-time visit with law enforcement to retrieve personal items.
M'a permettre une seule visite là et on va retourner avec un officier pour aller prendre bagay yo en dedans.
I am also ordering that you possess no weapons or firearms and surrender all weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release.
M'a demandé pour pas gagner aucun zam à fait, pour pas gagner aucun zam dans mon sou gain, m'a demandé ou gain 24 temps là là pour aller remettre li avec yon officier.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Madam Interpreter.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Wait one moment, Madam Interpreter, there's a question. Yes, sir.
Sure.
Li gen téléphone moi, li krasé et puis li prend li serré li. Li gen tout clé machine moi, clé mail moi, li prend tout hier soir li serré avec clé caille moi tout. So, est-ce que li te ka nous te ka ordonner pour le remettre moi yo avant parce que clé mail moi nan main li serré yo, li prend téléphone li krasé a tout le serré. Moi gen pile preuve de bagay qu'il fait dans téléphone, nan li serré téléphone nan, mal fin krasé là, li pas remettre moi.
Mona, she had my car key, she had the mail key, she had my phone that she break last night. She had all those. So therefore, I would like you to order her to return all those things to me. The phone, my car key, the mailbox key, especially the phone. I have a lot of evidence on the phone. So can you please order her to return my belongings to me, please?
Ms. Eugene? What says the
Madam
state?
Eugene?
Your Honor, if they are within her possession, she should return them to the victim, yes.
Oui.
George?
Si on a mis madame, ou supposé retourner avec victime, là, s'il vous plaît.
Ms. George?
Madame Georges?
You want me to order this right now, or you want me to order them to just have another hearing on that?
I would ask that you have another hearing set. We have another hearing set, Your Honor.
Okay. As to the car key, do you own the car?
Yes, it's my own car.
Okay,
Pour que les machines, machine est pour lié?
Yes.
Oui, c'est pour moi lié.
all right. Ms. George, if he owns the car, I'm comfortable ordering that.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know that you,
Machine.
if your client disputes that he owns the car.
Si machine nan c'est pour monsieur en lié, m'a ordre madame Georges pour faire client by client immédiatement. Et celle-ci madame nan te dit que machine nan est pas pour monsieur ya.
Yes, Your Honor. He owns the vehicle.
Then I am ordering you to give Mr. John Baptiste the keys to his car immediately upon your release.
Vraiment, kou yo la go la madame, m'a demandé yo pour retourner clé machine nan immédiatement by monsieur Jean-Baptiste kou yo la go.
Does she agree that he owns a phone that's in her possession, or does she disagree with that?
Est-ce que li d'accord li accepte que téléphone monsieur en amène ou bien est-ce qu'il dit pas d'accord téléphone n'a pas en amène?
Your Honor, she's disputing having the car keys in her possession. She's not disputing that he owns the vehicle. Sorry. And she
Mon
is-
juge,
Sorry, go ahead.
mon juge, li fait discussion, li fait connaître que li pas gen clé machine nan amène, mais li fait connaître machine nan c'est pour monsieur, li pas gen clé machine nan amène.
And she is also disputing that she has his telephone, Your Honor.
All right. See, this is why we probably needed another hearing. Mr. John Baptiste, I'm going to just ask that you communicate with the prosecutor about these matters that you just raised.
Madame, monsieur Jean-Baptiste m'a demandé pour parler avec prosécuteur là, avec problème ça yo, au fait mener devant nan la.
I don't want to cause you any undue burden, but I do need more information before I can start ordering the defendant to do things that could wind up violating her release without further information. I just need more information.
Ok, monsieur Jean-Baptiste, moi pas vle mettre un peu le chay sous dos à cause de bagay ça yo. Vous avez dit que m'a besoin plus d'informations et les laguer et ensuite il violer loi ba li les laguer, m'a besoin plus d'informations de ça yo et puis les fini pour nous compte ça moi le faire.
So I suggest you try to get any information that you have to support your claim that she has your car keys and the mail key and your telephone.
Moi suggère pour chercher plus d'informations s'il y a clé machine ou s'il y a téléphone ou bien s'il y a clé pour mailbox là. Moi pour chercher plus d'informations pour supporter chay ça yo, entendez?
If she has those items, and if she causes any damage to them, then you can have her charged with damaging those items as well.
Et s'il gagne bagay sa yo nan men, et à cause bagay sa yo, li fait dommage avec yo, ou ka charge avec chay sa pour dommage li cause yo. Ou ka
But-
charge avec ça.
But that is a matter that you're going to need to take up with the prosecutor.
Mais ça c'est une discussion à besoin parler avec prosécuteur là de ça.
I hope that you know that you can use a car dealer to make you a duplicate key for your car if that becomes necessary.
Et moi t'as souhaité au courant, ou ka aller dans dealer pour faire l'autre clé machine pour si ça nécessaire.
If you live in an apartment, you can check with the landlord regarding getting a mailbox key replacement.
Et sous rete dans appartement, ou ka parler avec moun qui en charge appartement, puis ka remplacer client pour ba on l'autre clé.
And if you use the post office, then of course you can talk with the postmaster regarding a replacement post box key.
Et ensuite, si vous utilisez post office là, ou ka pale avec un postmaster qui est en dedans pour cet office là, puis ka remplacer client pour boîte là.
Good luck, sir. Thank you for your time.
Bonne chance, monsieur. Merci pour ton temps.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I didn't order it.
Okay, gotcha.
No, I don't have to strike it because I didn't order it.
Order, okay.
No, I was just discussing it.
Mona, is there anything for you today?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mona. Thank you for doing the service. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day. Darian Mercado,
Yes.
the court finds probable cause for battery, dating violence, and sets a bond of $500, and probable cause for simple battery and sets a bond of $500. You're ordered to have no contact with the victim, not return to the location where this incident occurred, possess no weapons and no firearms, and surrender all weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release. I am allowing you a one-time visit in the presence of law enforcement to recover personal items. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Karen Terry Russ Bruner. Witness, raise your right hand to be sworn in. You swear that testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, I need you to talk into that microphone. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. Madam Prosecutor or Madam Defense Attorney may have questions for you, and you do need to answer the questions that they ask you into that microphone. Ms. Eugene? I'm looking at it. Ms. Eugene,
Yes, Your Honor.
any questions?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, ma'am. How do you know the defendant?
She's my daughter.
Do you live together?
Yes.
While this case is pending, do you want to continue living together?
Yes.
I cannot hear, ma'am.
Yes.
I need you to talk
Sorry.
into that microphone.
Yes.
Has something like this happened before?
Not to this extent. It was just verbal arguments before.
Okay. Were drugs or alcohol involved in this incident?
Not at all.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Ms. Eugene? I'm sorry, Ms.
No.
George? Sorry,
question.
both of you are Ms. Eugene today.
No question.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to find probable cause of the charge, and since the witness does not dispute having contact with you, I'll order you to have no hostile contact with her.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I apologize. There were actually two victims, though, and we
Oh, were
only
there
have
two?
one present.
Let me see here. I only see one count.
Understood, Your Honor, but there actually are two victims. There's the male Pedro Collado, who is also a victim.
Well, let's ask a few questions about the male. How old is Pedro?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old is Pedro?
I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking 56.
How can you not know?
Your Honor, I apologize again for it. The second
I'm not
page
sure of
has
his age.
listed at 60.
The second page
Oh,
has his age
okay, so
listed
then
at 60?
That's
Yes, Your
correct,
Honor.
yeah. So
All
that,
right,
that's
60?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Does that put him in the elderly category?
No, Your Honor, it has to be 65 or older.
65, okay. Okay, and does Pedro reside at the home as well?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I don't know, I only have one count. Was there a second count?
There should have been, Your Honor. And as the court is noting, there's one count, so then who would you say the victim was, considering that there are actually two victims?
Yes, we may need more information. Well, I mean, when I read it, I assumed the victim was this young lady here, honestly. I did read the part about Pedro, but I just thought he was giving additional information. And the officer only chose to charge one count. State, do you feel that there should be a second count?
I do, Your Honor, only because there is an indication that she slapped him with her right hand across his face.
Right, correct. I mean, yeah, there is an indication of that. Well,
May I say something, Your Honor?
who wants to say something?
Me.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
He's not present today,
Mm-hmm.
but I spoke to him last night and again this morning.
Mm-hmm.
He had to go to work. And, but we both want to express that we don't want to press any charges against her, and we want her back.
Well, but the state has a responsibility, and the state has brought to my attention some things that are concerning because there technically are two victims in this case. So I do need to hear from both victims, which is typical sometimes when we have a situation where more than one alleged victim was involved. And so he would have needed to be here today to tell me those things on his own accord. And the state has a responsibility of making sure that the right charges are filed and that the community is protected. So I'm gonna order no contact for now, which doesn't mean that she cannot ask the judge in the courtroom where this case is assigned to revisit that. But right now, I'm ordering no contact whatsoever.
May I
No
ask another-
return to the location where the incident occurred. Now, I am ordering a release on I would have ordered release on pretrial release, but was the pretrial release considering her going back to that same address? Because I can't allow that right now.
She could still do PTR, she would just have to reside elsewhere and find an
All right,
alternative.
you must reside somewhere else, ma'am. You cannot reside at the address where this incident occurred because I'm ordering no return. I will allow a one-time visit in the presence of law enforcement to recover personal items. And further, I am ordering to possess no weapons and no firearms and to surrender any weapons and firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release. There's another matter, Ms. George, and that is the income of the defendant. I thank you for communicating with her this morning. However, this defendant makes way too much money to qualify for the public defender, and therefore I'm not appointing the public defender at this time.
Can I just, as a friend of the court,
As a friend to the court, obviously, yes, you may.
May I ask a question?
I'm sorry, who has a question? Yes, ma'am, you may answer. You may ask.
How should I proceed to this matter on the other person, on the other victim, coming and communicating and expressing the same that I just said?
I'll answer that. Ma'am, at the time that the officers communicated with you, they gave you information to contact the state. And so or to contact law enforcement, so you just need to follow that direction.
I was given a pamphlet, but
Then read it, ma'am. It has that information in it.
Okay.
Are you asking me for the phone number? I don't know if the exact phone number is on there, but the state attorney is who you need to contact. I would imagine the state attorney can tell you the phone number right now, or give you a business card or something.
Yeah, so.
So you don't have to try to
is he able
remember it.
to also contact them and
Yes.
schedule another.
It looks
hearing
like
with
you're
you?
about to get a card. Now, that card is going to have the state attorney's phone number on it for you to call. And yes, you can communicate with them about having contact with the defendant if that is what you desire.
Yes,
But
and also
do
for-
remember that both victims are going to need to communicate that desire to the prosecutor.
Yes, when I talk to him, I can schedule him to come and see you, or?
No, it has nothing to do with me. It will be the state attorney. And yes, when you call, you can call on your behalf, and then he will need to call on his behalf. Okay?
And Your Honor, just to clarify, you did allow contact with this victim?
No, I said no contact whatsoever as far as the home goes, no return.
But she's allowed to have contact with this victim?
No, I said no contact.
Judge, forgive me, my fault.
No contact.
She do qualify for PDA, it was on the wrong defendant. That was me.
Oh, there was a huge mistake made, and apparently the income that was attributed to this defendant was wrong. Apparently she doesn't make the money that I was told she made, but what you just handed me, it doesn't have her name on it. Are you sure this one's right?
What's her name? Yes, ma'am, Karen.
Are you Karen? Karen?
Yes.
And Karen, let me just ask, do you make $800 every 2 weeks?
No.
Or do you make $4,000 every 2 weeks? Which is it?
I cannot tell you certain. I need my phone to verify those.
Okay. Well, let me give you both of these and you tell me which one you did. Which one of these you did?
I mean,
No, just look at those and tell me which one you did.
complicated, like.
Ma'am, look at those two pieces of paper and tell me which one is about you and which one is, just which one is yours.
Ma'am, may I?
No, one moment. This one is hers. So ma'am, according to this, you do qualify and I am going to appoint the public defender. It was our mistake, we had the wrong application attached to your paperwork. But you do qualify, so Ms. George, you can represent her.
Okay.
You do qualify.
And Your Honor, my only issue is that her mom does want contact, although they won't reside together.
I ordered no contact, and I don't know that I want to continue hearing this matter. No contact means no contact. I read the probable cause paperwork. Please know, I'm ordering no contact. That's my order, regardless of what the mother wants. I read the paperwork. And then it was brought back to my attention by the state of how bad this situation really was.
May I say just one more thing?
No, ma'am, this hearing is now over. We're moving on to the next case.
Thank you.
Eric Winkman.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the one. Yeah, no, these things happen. I myself made a mistake once. Ma'am,
Yes.
raise your right hand to be sworn in for testimony.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony shall give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to talk into that microphone.
Okay.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Did you swear her in?
Yes, state your name for the record.
Alexandra Winkman.
Ms. Winkman, you can, just like you just did, please answer questions of the lawyers into the microphone, okay?
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How do you know the defendant?
He's my husband.
Do you live together?
Yes.
While this case is pending, do you want to continue living together?
Yes.
And you want contact with him outside of the home?
Yes.
Has something like this happened before?
Yes.
Other than yesterday, when was the last incident?
About 7 years ago.
Okay. Were drugs or alcohol involved in this incident?
No, not at all.
I'm sorry, was that a no?
No,
Or- Okay.
not at any point.
Thank you so much. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Ms. George?
No questions, Your
Ms. Winkman, Mr. Winkman, I am ordering the defendant to be released on the pretrial release program because I do find probable cause for the charge. I am ordering no hostile contact with the victim and that you possess no weapons and no firearms and that you surrender all weapons and firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of your release. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, one final thing, Ms. George, this was the case where the defendant did not qualify for the public defender. Therefore, I am not appointing the public defender in this case. So that means you have to hire your own lawyer. Carlos Chamorro?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chamorro, in your case, I do, okay, you were picked up on an out-of-county warrant from Broward. Bond will stay set at no bond until you're picked up from Broward County. Thank you, sir. Anthony Rodriguez, Mr. Rodriguez, you were picked up on an out-of-county warrant from Sumter County. And in your case, bond will stay at no bond until you're picked up from Sumter County. Stephen Anderson.
Ma'am.
Mr. Anderson, in your case, you were picked up for violating your probation. This was an on-view violation for a new law violation. And bond will stay at no bond in your case, sir. Okay, I'll do the bond hearing for the, public defender now. Do I have a docket for that?
Yes, I don't know,
Will you call it, Madam Clerk?
I don't know who that is.
Well,
I don't know who it is, there's two of them.
well, okay, there's more than one?
There's just two, Your Honor.
Well, that's more than one, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it
Well,
is.
goodness, y'all got me having court. This is, Torrance,
This is Parnell.
okay. Randy Parnell, 2023 MM41AW. Counsel, state your presence for the record.
Lorena Comp for the record.
Thank you.
Ashley Culpepper for the state.
Thank you, Ms. Culpepper. Ms. Comp, you may proceed.
Yes, in this case, Mr. Parnell is currently being held on no bond. He has had open heart surgery in the past, and we feel that his medical condition may be aggravated were he to remain in OCJ. As well, no formal charges have been filed in this case. He does have another misdemeanor case open, and that one does have bond set.
When was the open heart surgery?
Mr. Parnell?
The 31st of 2000 and, let's see, this is 2013.
Well, this is 2023, so that was 10 years
Okay,
ago.
so it was 2 years ago. It was the 31st at 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Yes, ma'am.
In 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still on medication for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Take a lot of medication. I got 2 blowed out knees that need operated on.
Okay, I just wanted to, I just wanted to know when it was. You can continue, Ms. Khan.
That's pretty much our argument. No formal charges were filed in this case or in the other one.
And how long has he been held?
In this case, he has been held, I believe, a week.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Culpepper?
Yes, Your Honor, we would be objecting on behalf of the victims. The new law charges are for stalking and obstructing justice for harassing the same witnesses as the same victims as his previous case. When he was first released for our case, his actions got very egregious towards these victims, and he's harassing them to the point of trying to get them not to continue prosecution. They are in fear for their life. They live in very close proximity, and so when he goes back home, he continuously harasses the wife and the husband at this point with very aggressive comments and actions, and we are just in fear for the public at this.
Where is the state at in the stage of this particular charge only? Since this is the one where the defense is asking for a bond, where is the state at in deciding to press the charges? And is she correct that he's been held for 5 days or a week?
I have not verified how long he's been held on the new charge, Your Honor. I believe he was pretrial release was revoked on February. The order was on February 1st. We are still deciding on the charging the information at this time. It should be filed shortly, but there are still intentions to file, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Anything further?
We would just like to reiterate that no formal charges have been filed, so we're just asking for a bond to be set.
All right. The court's going to deny the motion at this time. Jeffrey Nathan Torrance, 2023 MM728AO.
Yes, Your Honor, in this case, we're asking for ROR. When this case was first originally filed, it was filed as a felony. It has since then been downgraded to a misdemeanor. However, the bond remained the same.
And what is the amount of the bond?
The bond is currently still $5,000.
And state?
Your Honor, the only reason that it would be downfiled was sometimes proving the amount as far as the criminal mischief. However, we would object to ROR at this time after speaking with the victims due to defendant's also criminal history of battery, and then also stalking, trespass, and battery against the same victim of this case that we have here, she is in fear for her safety as well. There are also some concerns as far as his residence and where he will be staying. It was made known to us that he has been transient in the past, so for future court dates, we are concerned with that as well.
Thank you. Anything further?
Yes, we do have an address on file that Mr. Torrance would be staying at. It would be 12838 Woodbury Glen Drive. At this time, if the court would deny the RR motion, we would ask that the bond be reduced.
State.
Your Honor, we would still object at this time. Even if there is an address, there is still the concern for safety, Your Honor, and we don't feel as if RR would be appropriate.
What about a bond reduction?
We still don't feel as if it would be appropriate, Your Honor, for the nature of the charges against the victim. And then we would also like to add that there is some possible concerns of drug and alcohol use.
All right. Court's going to grant this motion. I'm going to reduce the bond from $5,000 to $2,500. I'm going to order the defendant to have no contact with the victims, possess no weapons and no firearms, and surrender any weapons or firearms to law enforcement within 24 hours of release. The defendant must maintain a current address on file at all times.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes. You're welcome to whoever said thank you. Madam Clerk. You didn't catch all that. They didn't give me much on the right.
Maintain.
Hi, I don't know how much more talking I can do. So, Ms. Eugene, if you want to call your the 33-day motions that were filed and announce them and your position on them, then I will enter the orders accordingly.
Certainly, Your Honor. The first one is Lutz, and he has, I think, 2 or 3 others. If you have them back to back, I can do them that way, or I can do them in the order that they are.
I got them in the order the way they are. I don't have them back to back.
That is fine. Thank you, Madam Clerk. First one is Eric Lutz, 22 CF 14301, should be denied and information was filed.
That's denied.
Vincent Yadanyik, 23 CF 431, should be denied and information was filed.
That's denied.
Eric Lutz again, 22 CF 14655, granted, notice of non-filing.
That one is granted.
Tidarius Preston, 23 MM 153, granted, notice of non-filing.
This is granted.
Leah Gradley III, 23 CF 481, granted, case was no billed.
Granted.
Kelton Little, 23 CF 592, denied, information was filed.
This is denied.
Eric Lutz, 23 CF 492, granted, notice of non-filing.
That was granted.
Charlie Hunter, 22 CF 14184, granted, notice of non-filing.
That was granted.
Sergo Hippolyte, 23 CF 465, granted, notice of non-filing.
That was granted.
Sylvia Miller, 23 CF 440, denied, information was filed.
That was denied.
J. Hamilton, 23 CF 485, granted, notice of non-filing.
That was granted.
Devonte Camacho, 23 MM 304, denied, information was filed.
That was denied.
Nyla Asensio Donjo, 23 CF 454, granted, notice of non-filing.
And that one is granted. Any other matters?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Yes. Oh, well, the second session doesn't start for like an hour. You got here real early.
Because when we come,
Mm-hmm.
everything's already over, so I'm here, I'm gonna make sure I'm on time.
Well, court stands in recess for the first session.
Okay. Is the public defender there present?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, Mr. Ramos, good morning, or afternoon. Our first case is 2023 MM 351, State versus Jose Pamayas. And I understand that we have the victim present here with us in the courtroom as well. Mr. Pamayas, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. In this case, sir, you were arrested for a battery, and the paperwork that I have on file, sir, indicates that you are unable to afford a lawyer to represent you. Do you want the public defender's office to be appointed provisionally to help you today?
Yes.
Okay. And the court will appoint the public defender's office to provisionally represent you. And I understand that the victim would like to make a statement before bond is set.
Yes, Your Honor, just as far as her feeling safe, whether or not he returns home.
Okay. Is it Ms. Pamayas?
No, Spanish.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Rafael Barrera, State Certified Court Interpreter. I have been previously sworn.
Okay. We're here this afternoon in case number 23, MM 351, State versus Jose Pamayas. And his mother, the victim in the case, is in need of the services of an interpreter. If you can just let me know when you connect to the headset, please.
Certainly, Your Honor.
Sí, le escucho.
Your Honor, the interpreter can confirm this individual is able to hear through the headsets.
Okay. Good
Please
afternoon.
raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Lo juro ante Dios.
I swear before God.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you please tell me your name?
Rosa M. Pamias.
Clarification, Your Honor.
Rosa M. Pamias.
Rosa M. Pamias.
Good afternoon to you, ma'am. I was told that there's something that you wanted to tell me about Mr. Pamayas' case. Is that right?
Sí.
Yes.
What would you like to tell me?
Ok, él es mi hijo. Él es un enfermo mental. Él tiene autismo bipolar y esquizofrenia.
Okay, he's my son, and he suffers from mental illness. He has autism, bipolarity, and schizophrenia.
Él no es ningún criminal, él es un nene bien bueno. Tiene sus problemas mentales y ayer pues, tuvo una crisis violenta y se llamó a la policía. Yo le enseñé a ellos los papeles de Gaida. Del power of attorney que yo tengo de él.
He is not a criminal. He's a good boy. He does have mental problems. And we did have a violent crisis yesterday. And when the police were called, I did show him the paperwork I have of power of attorney.
Is there anything else, ma'am?
Sí, yo le pido a esta humilde corte que me ayuden con él. Yo lo que necesito es que lo pasen para un centro de behavior donde le den tratamiento y donde lo puedan ayudar.
Yes, I just asked this humble court for some help with him, if he could be transferred to a behavioral center where he can receive some treatment.
That's not something I can do today. It'll be up to his attorney to file any kind of appropriate.
My apologies, Your Honor. You just briefly cut out. Could you kindly repeat your last statement? So sorry.
Yes. That would be something that your son would need to take up with his attorney. Okay. But Mr. Wilkie?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may
what's the state's
inquire.
position on bond and conditions?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may ask the victims in question on the record. Ma'am, do you feel safe if he were to return home to you?
En estos momentos no sé cómo estaría él, ya que él toma medicamentos controlados, donde él toma medicamentos de noche y de día, y los medicamentos de esta mañana él no se los ha tomado.
Well, at this moment, I really don't know because he takes controlled medication. He takes them in the morning and in the evening, and as of this morning, he had not taken them.
Yo lo que pido es que me puedan ayudar para que lo trasladen, por ejemplo, al Park Place, donde ellos hagan arreglos y lo puedan enviar al Central Florida Behavior, donde el psiquiatra de él puede ir a verlo allá.
I'm just asking for some help. For example, if he could be sent to Park Place and they could make arrangements to send him to Central Florida Behavior where his psychiatrist could go see him there.
Yo hablé con el psiquiatra esta mañana y el psiquiatra me dijo que trataran de llevarlo al Central Florida Behavior para que entonces él allí pueda tener comunicación y darle tratamiento de unas inyecciones que salieron nuevas para poderlo ayudar a él.
And I talked to his psychiatrist this morning, and he asked that we try to get him transferred to Central Florida Behavior, where he can communicate with him there, provide him treatment, and give him some new injections that are new and that might be able to help him.
Your Honor, state's primary concern here is that if he does return to the same household, that she does not currently feel safe. That said, state has no objection to court's discretion here as far as what the court's capable of doing, potentially to have him removed to a behavioral center to address those issues. However, out of safety for the victim here in this particular situation, the state's going to request that he not return.
Okay.
Your Honor, also, mental health at the jail want to know if he can.
I'm sorry, Counselor, if you could kindly approach the microphone.
If he can get ROR so they can get him to Park Place, so they can send him so he can get some help.
Okay. Normally, I would not release a defendant ROR without setting up a monetary bond amount. But given the circumstances of this particular defendant, his mental condition, I am going to release him ROR so that he can receive treatment at Park Place. But as conditions of that release, there's to be no returning to residence with the victim, no hostile contact with the victim directly or indirectly, no consumption of alcohol or illegal narcotics, no taking any prescription drugs without a valid prescription, no possession of any weapons, and to comply with all conditions of pretrial release and to return for court dates.
Okay, he don't qualify for pretrial release, but they want to do just the ROR so they can get him to Park Place.
Okay.
Okay. So the ROR plus Park Place.
Yes, and plus Park Place.
Y luego después de eso, ¿qué pasa?
What's going to happen after that?
It'll depend on Park Place being able to provide him his treatment. Okay?
Next court date on demand.
Judge, I have two more persons who need a Spanish interpreter. I don't know if the court wants to call those now.
Yes, we can do that.
And Your Honor, the interpreter will now disconnect from the headphones for the victim, and we will address over the loudspeaker for the jail.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, the first one I have is the number one on the list, Rosalina Aviles Cuevas.
Yes. All right, and that is case numbers 2023 CT 696 and 2023 CT 697. Good afternoon, Ms. Aviles Cuevas. Can you hear me?
Buenas tardes, señorita Áviles Cuevas. ¿Usted me escucha?
Sí.
Yes.
In your cases, ma'am, you've been arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs and refusal to submit to a DUI test.
Usted fue arrestada por conducir bajo los efectos de drogas o alcohol y negarse a someterse a una prueba de aliento.
Having reviewed the charging affidavit, I do find probable cause.
Al revisar la acta acusatoria y determino que existen indicios razonables.
And as to the first case, 2023 CT 696, on count one for driving under the influence, I'm going to set bond at $1,000.
En el primer cargo y primer caso 23CT 696, programar la fianza $1,000.
And in case number 2023 CT 697, refusal to submit to DUI testing, I'm going to set bond at $250.
En el segundo caso 23CT 697, negarse a someterse a una prueba de alcohol, voy a programar la fianza $250.
And the conditions of bond are to include no consumption of alcohol or illegal drugs.
No se le permitirá ingerir alcohol o sustancias ilícitas.
No consumption of any drugs without a valid prescription.
No puede ingerir ningún tipo de medicamento o droga que no sea que te sean recetados.
To maintain and attend all future court dates.
Tiene que comparecer a todas las fechas de comparecencia en el tribunal.
And no driving without a valid driver's license.
Y no puede conducir a que no sea que tenga una licencia válida.
Your Honor, she do qualify for direct PTR?
Su señoría, ella reúne requisitos para libertad provisional.
Oh, I take that back. So she does qualify for direct pretrial release without setting a bond.
Ella entonces reúne requisitos para la libertad provisional directa sin necesidad de fianza.
So there won't be any bonds on those two charges, and she'll be released into the pretrial release with those conditions.
Por lo tanto, no se le va a exigir fianza, será liberada bajo el programa de libertad provisional bajo esas condiciones.
Yes, and the Public Defender's Office will be appointed provisionally.
Se le va a designar a las oficinas del Defensor Público de manera provisional.
Next court date for 2023 CT 696 and 697, March 6 in courtroom 5B at 8:30 a.m.
Próxima fecha de comparecencia en ambos casos 696, 697, en la sala 5B el 6 de marzo a las 8:30 de la mañana.
And Mr. Ramos, who's your next that needed an interpreter?
Yes, Your Honor. It's the last one. It's John Doe or Ramon Videa.
It should be right after on your docket, Judge.
Oh,
Right
yes.
after the cutoff. And for this one, Judge, the only reason why he's being re-IA'd is just for the ID purposes. Judge Carly Wish already gave him a $500 bond over the weekend that he posted. They just couldn't release him because they couldn't identify him.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me? This is Judge Beamer.
Muy buenas tardes, caballero. ¿Usted me escucha? Le habla el juez Beamer. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I guess if you can raise your right hand, we're going to swear you in.
Por favor, levante su mano derecha para prestar juramento.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Usted juró o afirma solemnemente que el testimonio que usted dará en este caso será la verdad, toda la verdad y solamente la verdad ante Dios. Your Honor, the interpreter has not heard a response from the defendant.
You might need to speak.
He has to speak up louder.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I hear people speaking, but I'm not able to make anything out discernible. I can't understand what they're saying, Judge.
Okay.
I'll swear him in again.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Usted jura solemnemente o afirma que el testimonio que usted dará en este caso será la verdad, toda la verdad y solamente la verdad ante Dios.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And you can put your hand down, sir.
Puede bajar la mano, caballero.
Sir, the paperwork I have indicates that you cannot afford an attorney to represent you. Is that the case?
La documentación que yo tengo indica que usted no puede costear un abogado. ¿Eso es correcto? Yes.
And the public defender's office has already been appointed to represent you, correct?
Y las oficinas del defensor público ya han sido designadas para que lo represente, ¿correcto? Yes.
Okay. And is your name Ramon Alvarado Videa?
Usted es el señor Ramón Alvarado Videa.
Sí.
Yes.
What is your birth date?
¿Cuál es su fecha de nacimiento?
De 1995.
1995.
And what month and day?
¿En qué mes y qué año?
9 de marzo.
The 9th of March.
Okay. This does appear to be Mr. Videa based on his Honduran passport that we have in the file. So, Mr. Videa, your bond will remain at $500 and you can be released today.
Parece ser el señor Ramón Alvarado Videa, basado en su pasaporte hondureño que tenemos aquí en el expediente. Usted se le programa una fianza de $500 que si la paga puede salir en el día de hoy.
Okay, está bien.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You can have a seat.
Gracias, caballero. Puede tomar asiento.
Next court date on demand.
Próxima comparecencia cuando sea ordenada. And your honor of the interpreter could respectfully request the case number for this last defendant, please.
Oh, yes, sir. It's case number 2023 CT 700.
Thank you very much, your honor.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Do you have any other cases that require the interpreter, Judge?
No, sir, we don't. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Judge, there was a reset for today, Mr. Andrew Martinez.
Yes, sir.
He is present, and he was asking if the court could call him. He does have some medical issues, so he would like for his case to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Yes, he is next on our list. And that's case number 2022 MM2190, State versus Andrew Scott Martinez. Good afternoon, Mr. Martinez.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Sir, in this case, you have been charged under count 1 with resisting officer without violence. count 2, criminal mischief, and count 3, petty theft. Having reviewed the charging affidavit, I do find that there is probable cause in this case. It looks like bond was already originally set under count 1 at $2,500, count 2, $100, and count 3, $100. And so the court will institute bond at those amounts with the conditions of your bond, so there being no consumption of alcohol or illegal substances, no consumption of any drugs without a valid prescription, no driving without a valid driver's license, no direct or indirect contact with the victim in this case.
Your Honor, I just got out of jail on these 3 charges. I just did my time for these 3 charges. This is double jeopardy. I don't know why they had me on here.
Your
I
Honor.
literally just got sentenced for these 3 charges and already.
Your Honor, he was FTA on this case for an arraignment on January 6th.
Yes. So these were based on your failure to appear on January the 6th for arraignment. So we'll set bond at the $2,500 on count 1, $100 on count 2, and $100 on count 3. All right.
Next court date is still in jail, February 23rd. If filed March 10th in courtroom 5B at 8:30 a.m.
All right. Let's see. Our next case is Mr. Charles Jordan. It's on an out-of-county warrant.
Case number 48-2012 CF 0054090.
Thank you. Mr. Charles, good afternoon, sir. You have been arrested, sir, on an out-of-county warrant on a VOP for a robbery. And my understanding is that you cannot afford an attorney to represent you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the court will provisionally appoint the public defender's office to represent you for today. State, it looks like this was set at a no bond. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Your Honor. My reading of it was no bond, and they are intending to extradite.
Okay. And is it Seminole County?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
Oh, it's Orange County Sheriff's. All right. Mr. Charles, your bond is set at $0, and Orange County will be arranging for your transport on your active warrant out of Orange County, sir. Okay.
Judge, for Salim Muhammad Payton, the jail has advised me that he refused.
Okay. Then we will reset Mr. Salam Muhammad Payton for tomorrow and issue an order that he be transported by any reasonable means necessary. Our next case is 2023 MM251 State versus Richard Caceres.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Mr. Caceres, good afternoon, sir. Sir, in this case, you've been arrested on a violation of pretrial release for your pretrial conditions in Orange County, I believe.
Osceola, I was in Polk County.
Oh, you were picked up in Polk County?
Yes, sir, I was at Bartow. Got trapped from Bartow yesterday morning.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Are you able to afford an attorney to represent you, sir?
I think I got one signed from the public attorney.
Okay, so the public defender's office has already been appointed to represent him. Is that accurate?
If you put it, because he might have been appointed in Polk County, you just have to reiterate it.
Okay. Was that in Polk County where you were appointed to the public defender's office, sir?
No, sir, this morning I did the paperwork this morning to have a public attorney.
Okay.
If you filled
Yes,
out the
sir.
affidavit, we just haven't received it from the
Okay, we just haven't received your affidavit from the jail. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you provisionally for today until we get your paperwork and can appoint them wholeheartedly for your case. Steve, what's your all's position on bond? My notes show that it was a no bond warrant.
Yes, Your Honor. So this case, as far as the violation of the PTR was active when this warrant was signed and valid, this defendant has a history with this victim, particularly DV history, pretty concerning. State leaves it in the court's discretion as to the bond. However, again, with the interaction between this defendant and this particular victim, in this case with rather violent charges, the state would caution against any contact with the victim, any return to the scene, and leaves in the court's discretion as to the bond amount.
Well, I do find that there is probable cause in this case, and I'm going to set bond, Mr. Caceres, at $10,000 with conditions of that bond being there should be no contact, direct or indirect, with the alleged victim, no returning to the scene of the alleged offense, no consumption of any alcohol or illicit substances, and no consumption of any drugs without a prescription. No driving without a valid driver's license, and no possession of any weapons or firearms.
So my bond is set at $10,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Next court date on demand.
Our next case is 2022 MM2730. Is it Dennis Tyler Fernandez or Derek Kyle Francis?
So when the case was originally opened and this information was filed by the state, the name was under Derek Kyle Fernandez. However, the defendant has an alias of Dennis Tyler Fernandez, and that was what he was picked up on last night.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. You've been charged in this case with failure to appear at a prior court date.
I was there at that court date, and the public defender's office said that I didn't have court. I sat there with him, Christian something, for about 30 minutes, and then he told me that I didn't have court, so I left, and then I got picked up last night instead of missed court.
Okay. Well, that's something that, well, in looking at the paperwork, it indicates that you cannot afford to have an attorney or can't afford to hire an attorney yourself. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you provisionally. That'll be something that you can take up with the public defender's office, but I'm going to set your bond at $250, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Next court date is still in jail, February 23rd. If out, March 6th in courtroom 5B at 8:30 a.m.
Our next case is 2022 CF 1995 State versus Brian Perez Cave.
And Judge, the pleas are already on this case as of August 5th, 2022.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Perez Cave.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I was in 33rd for this FDA. I don't know how they didn't. They told me this charge was dropped, Your Honor. I was in jail, please, Your Honor. I just came out of jail. Can I get my bond back?
Well, so.
I have the paperwork right here with the public defender right here.
Okay. Well, so the public defender's already been appointed to represent you, and I do find there is probable cause, but I'm going to set your bond at $250 on the failure to appear.
Thank you, sir.
Judge Wilson put on the warrant.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Judge Wilson specifically put in bond not to be modified at initial appearance on the warrant.
Mr. Perez Cave, I'm sorry. The judge that executed the warrant indicated that bond was not to be modified at initial appearances.
Please, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir. I just came out of jail, sir. This was a mistake. I was in 33rd, sir.
Judge, the failure to appear was on January 17, 2023. Your Honor, we did go into the Orange County Clerk's record, case number 23, MM 250. On that date, Your Honor, Mr. Perez entered a plea agreement. I believe that was the date that he failed to appear for the Osceola County case.
The two court dates, y'all give me a court
Judge,
date
we do
here?
have the paperwork.
Oh.
We do have the paperwork from when he was arrested. However, Judge Wilson decided to still issue the warrant at her discretion during that arraignment date. I'm not sure what was discussed, as none of us were there when they talked about it,
Yeah,
but it was in the paperwork.
Okay. I'm not going to change Judge Wilson's assessment on the bond. It'll still be set at 0.
Your Honor, please, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to disturb another judge's determination on that.
Next court date, February 21st, in courtroom 5F at 8:15.
Our next case, actually there are two cases. It's 2020 CF 524 and 2020 CF 474, State versus Josue Hiram Rivera.
Josue Hiram Rivera.
Your Honor, I don't have that on the list.
It was an add-on by the COs. They asked for him to be added onto the docket.
Your Honor, we're not aware of it. Could we please pass this at this time?
Come back down. Our next item on the docket, these are also two cases. 2023 CF 491 and 2023 CF 398, State versus Claudio Garreta.
And Your Honor, according to the sheet here, he does qualify for direct PTR.
That's what, excuse me. That's what's indicated in this case. So, Mr. Galarreta, in case number 2023 CF 491, you've been charged with grand theft, and in case number, I think it's 2023 CF 391, you've been charged with possession of a controlled substance without a prescription. I think it's methamphetamines. But are you able to afford an attorney to represent you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And would you like the Public Defender's Office provisionally appointed to represent you for today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The court will provisionally accept or appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Having reviewed the charging affidavits, I do find there is probable cause, but you do qualify for direct pretrial release without the setting of a bond. So I'm going to release you, sir, ROR. But as conditions of your release, you're not to possess any weapons or firearms, not to consume any drugs or alcohol, and no prescription medications without a valid prescription. You're not to drive without a valid driver's license. You're to maintain and appear for all court dates and comply with all conditions of your release. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, is direct or ROR?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Direct PTR, not ROR. I'm sorry.
Next court date for 2023 CF 491 and 398 on demand. And just to verify, it was do not consume or have any alcohol or drugs, do not drive without a valid driver's license. That was all the ones.
No possession of weapons or firearms.
Thank you.
Our next case is 2023 CF 492, State versus Elizabeth Giles. Good afternoon, Ms. Giles. In this case, ma'am, you have been arrested and charged with tampering with your electronic monitoring device.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Thank you, excuse me. The paperwork that I have indicates that you're not able to afford an attorney to represent you.
That's correct.
And you'd like the Public Defender's Office provisionally appointed to represent you today?
Correct.
Okay. The court will provisionally appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent Ms. Giles. Having reviewed the charging affidavit, I do find that there is probable cause, and I'm going to set bond at $2,500. And the conditions of bond being no consumption of alcohol or illicit drugs, no consumption of prescription medication without a valid prescription, no driving without a valid driver's license, and to comply with all conditions of.
Now, Your Honor, if I can't pay the bond, or if I can't get anybody to bond me out, how long am I gonna stay in jail?
You'll be able to, I can't tell you exactly, you'll have to talk to the Public Defender's Office, but once we have your arraignment, then we'll set you for a pretrial conference and a trial date, since speedy trial has not been waived.
You're gonna set me up with a speedy trial?
No, once you're set for an arraignment, then we will set you for a trial date because your right to speedy trial has not been waived. Okay?
Next court date on demand.
Our next case is 2023 CF 493 State versus Shane Ibister.
The victim is present.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ibister.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
In this case, you have been arrested and charged with domestic battery by strangulation. The paperwork that I have indicates that you're unable to afford a lawyer to represent you. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
And would you be requesting that the Public Defender's Office be provisionally appointed to represent you today?
That's correct.
Okay. Having reviewed the documents, I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you on a provisional basis. And I do find that there is probable cause as outlined in the charging affidavit. But I understand that we do have the alleged victim present.
If you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? A little bit louder because I have to hear you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you tell us your full name?
Excuse me?
Can you tell us your full name?
Paula Paredes Ortiz.
Okay. And ma'am, what would you like to tell me today with respect to, I guess, setting bond or any conditions of release for the defendant?
Well, I really would like to tell you, I love this man so much, but at this point, I don't feel safe next to him. He knew that I went through an accident and I've been going to therapy for my neck. It's been so hard for me to move, even laying down and everything. And the night that we were fighting, he specifically went straight to my neck, trying to hurt my neck, and he actually did. And then we both hurt my neck doing a bad song, and I told him, you actually broke my neck. That's what we both thought. So he finally, left my neck alone when we both thought that he actually broke my neck. So at that point, I thought that I couldn't move anymore, like my neck, my back. I was just in the floor for minutes, like trying to see what happened. I had headache at the moment. I was completely in shock, and I'm thinking like we've been going through this for a while, like having these issues, and we've been talking like to go to therapy, do better, stop the drinking, stop the drugs, because I've been telling him like I think every time he drinks and it's constantly, he becomes like a bad person, very dangerous person, and I have 2 kids at home. And then I have found out from another people from his work that he does dangerous type of drugs. And then that's my concern right now, that he's probably doing this. That's why he is very dangerous. He's becoming dangerous and dangerous every time, more and more. And now I'm afraid because he has told me so many times that he hates me, he hates my kids. So I don't know the next time I'm gonna be here to tell the story of what happened, because he loses his mind. He loses his mind when he's angry, when he's in alcohol. So I really, at this point, I'm so afraid because I don't know what could happen the last night. I don't know if at this point I didn't know if I could move anymore. If I went to the doctor, and I'm like, I don't know if I could be a disability sport at this time, you know, I'm in a wheelchair. He couldn't even care anymore. I've been caring about him a lot. Like, I've been asking him to go to therapy, find help, stop drinking, stop, you know, doing drugs, but I can't do anymore. I think I have done enough because I really love him a lot and I care a lot of him, but at this point I need to think about myself. I have to do this. I need to think my security in my life. And unfortunately it's one and I can't do this anymore.
Ms. Ramos, is there anything that you'd like to ask of the alleged victim?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Wilkie?
Yes, Your Honor. Do you still currently live at 2414 Rodenstone Way?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Visser, I'm going to set bond in this case at $10,000 with the conditions of bond are to be no possession of any weapons or firearms, no consumption of any alcohol or illegal drugs, no consumption of drugs without a valid prescription, no driving without a valid driver's license, and no contact between yourself and the alleged victim.
Your Honor, I have a question. So my car and all my medicine and everything's at the house over there. What am I supposed to do about that? Because I need my car, I need my medicine, I need my clothes.
What I will allow is for on a one-time basis, if you make bond and bond out, you can be escorted by Osceola County Sheriff's deputies on a one-time basis to your residence to get your clothes and medication and things of that nature.
So how do I go about that? I just call them before I head over there, or how does that work? Because I don't want to do anything, you know.
The public defender's office can help you get the contact information, so you can do that right when you get released.
Okay.
Okay?
Your Honor.
Yes.
He's also out on bond on 22 MM 2822. Also a case.
Your Honor, I've never missed.
Okay. I'm gonna leave that case as is and not revoke bond.
Next court date on demand.
When's the court date?
On demand.
Oh, so
Our next case is 2023 MM 349 State versus Irma Kirkpatrick. Good afternoon, Ms. Kirkpatrick. Can you hear me?
Yes.
In this case, ma'am, you've been charged with a battery involving domestic violence, at least according to the charging affidavit. The paperwork that I have in front of me indicates that you are not able to afford an attorney to represent you. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. And would you be asking to have the public defender's office appointed to represent you on a provisional basis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The court will appoint the public defender's office to represent you, ma'am, on this provisional basis. I do find that there is probable cause based on the charging affidavit. But I'm going to set bond in this case at $5,000 with the conditions of bond being no contact with the victim, no possession of any weapons or firearms, no consumption of any alcohol or drugs, no prescription medication without a valid prescription. You're not to drive without a valid driver's license, and to attend all future court dates.
Judge, according to Ms. Kirkpatrick, she lives in Georgia, and the place that listed address is the place where she lives. So we've asked the court to allow her to return to her permanent address. And if the court's not willing to do that, then allow a one-time return with an escort.
And, well, Does she live at the address in Georgia with the victim?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'll allow her to return on a one-time basis to obtain any personal items. Okay?
Next court date on demand.
Our next cases, there are three of them, 2023 MM 350, 2022 CF 1773, and 2022 MM 1369, State versus Cesar Membrano.
And Judge, the PDs are already appointed on 2022 CF 1773 and 22 MM 1369.
Okay. Has bond been set in those two?
For the felony case, Judge, let me verify. Judge Wilson set it at 0 for the felony, and the misdemeanor has a $5,000 bond. By Judge Sanders. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Membrano. In case number 2023 MM 350, sir, you're charged with providing a false name to law enforcement.
Hold
on just one second. In case number 2022 CF 1773, that was a failure to appear at a court date where there's already been a 0 bond set. And in case number 2022 MM 169 was also a failure to appear. It appears there's been a $5,000 bond that's been set in that case. It appears that you're unable to afford an attorney to represent you. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And would you be asking that the Public Defender's Office be provisionally appointed to represent you in this matter, sir?
That's kind of just.
Okay. Then the court will appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you provisionally in this case. But having reviewed the charging affidavit, I do find that probable cause exists in this case. I'm not going to disturb the bond amounts that have already been set in 2022 CF 1773 and 2022 MM 169. But in 2023 MM 350, I'm going to set bond at $500. And with the conditions of that bond being no consumption of any alcohol or drugs without a prescription for prescription medications, no driving without a valid driver's license, and to maintain all future court dates.
Next court date for 2023 MM 350 on demand, 22 CF 1773, May 5th in courtroom, May 4th in courtroom 5F at 9 a.m. and 2022 MM 1369 if still in jail, February 23rd, if out, March 6th in courtroom 4A at 8:15 a.m.
Our next case is 2023 CF 494, State versus Corinne Mitchell. Good afternoon. Ms. Mitchell, in this case, ma'am, you've been charged with under count 1, a battery causing bodily harm, and under count 2, with hindering or preventing a witness from communicating or contacting law enforcement. The paperwork that I have indicates that you are not able to afford an attorney to represent you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And would you be asking to have the Public Defender's Office provisionally appointed to represent you, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you provisionally, ma'am. Having reviewed the charging affidavit, I do find that there is probable cause. And as to count 1, battery, I'm going to set bond at $5,000. And as to count 2, hindering or preventing a witness from contacting law enforcement, I'm going to set bond at $1,000. The conditions of that bond being, there's not to be any contact with the victim, either directly or indirectly, no possession of any weapons or firearms, no consumption of any alcohol or illegal drugs, no prescription medications without a valid prescription, and no driving without a valid driver's license.
Your Honor, according to our notes here, that the victim was contacted and that the victim does want contact. My client's children are in the alleged victim's care at this point, so we would ask the court to have no hostile contact with the victim and allow, they don't live together, Your Honor, but allow my client to be able to pick up her children if she is able to do so.
State, any objection to modifying it to no hostile contact?
In the absence of having any information regarding that, Your Honor, state would still stand by the no contact, but leaves in the court's discretion as to whether or not to modify that to no hostile.
Well, I mean, based on what's contained in the affidavit, I'll modify this to no hostile contact, but they're to maintain separate residences.
Your Honor, she qualified for bond with PTR?
Yes.
So you want to go PTO?
Yes.
Next court date on demand.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Our next case is 2023 MM352 State versus Eric Shields. Good afternoon, Mr. Shields. In this case, sir, you have been charged with a domestic violence battery, but the paperwork that I've been provided with indicates that you are not able to afford a lawyer to represent you. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And would you be asking to have the Public Defender's Office provisionally appointed to represent you?
Yes.
The court will grant that request and appoint the Public Defender's Office to provisionally represent Mr. Shields. Having reviewed the uniform charging affidavit, I do find that there is probable cause. And as to count one, for battery, I'm going to set bond at $5,000 with the conditions of bond being no contact or no hostile contact with the victim. And they're to maintain separate residences, no consumption of alcohol or illegal drugs, no consumption of prescription medications without a valid prescription, no driving without a valid driver's license, and no possession of weapons or firearms.
Your Honor, we would ask for a one-time return with escort since they are living together in the same apartment.
Okay, I will allow that so that Mr. Shields can get any personal items that he needs.
Your Honor, she and I also discussed that we both wanted to have contact with each other. I know that it says that I'm allowed to have violent contact, but I was wondering if there was a way that I would still be able to reside there. I don't have any friends or family here. I haven't lived here long enough.
At this point, I'm just going to order that you all maintain separate residences, but that you all not have any hostile contact. That doesn't mean you can't have contact with one another, but you still need to maintain separate residences.
Yeah, he also qualified for bond with PTR.
Yes, he does qualify for bond PTR.
And just how much was the bond amount?
$5,000.
Next court date on demand.
Our next case is 2023 CF 479 State versus Karen Lenora Castillo Abraham.
She refused, Judge. This is the one that we don't want to go to court.
Okay. Okay. So, in the Public Defender's Office previously is.
You can appoint them yesterday, but you can appoint them today.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office provisionally to represent Ms. Castillo Abraham. And Mr. Ramos, we reset this from yesterday because she refused transport. I think she was in medical due to some behavioral issues.
That's correct, yeah.
But I guess we have a couple options. We could waive her appearance at arraignment, or we can reset it. But I'm kind of looking to you for some guidance on how you'd like to do that.
Judge, based on she has other pending cases with issues, so we would waive her appearance for today.
Okay. In that case, since I'll accept that waiver and find that there is probable cause. It looks like bond was already set at $5,000 in this case, so we'll keep bond set at $5,000 and with no contact with the victim, no consumption of any alcohol or controlled